So this guy's running for AG in Ohio. He was a former state rep, and it looks like he's not doing too well. Well, he's got a new campaign promise. He's vowing to kill Donald Trump. Not exaggerating. He's saying that as AG, he will sentence Trump to death formally through the state, which is still just him campaigning on killing Trump. So I don't know what his point was, but he's certainly getting attention for it. So congratulations. In this hyper internet reality, everyone's so desperate for attention will say or do anything. He may as well have just said, please, for the love of all that is holy, look at my face, because it worked. And we're talking about him and his pictures everywhere. And then we've got probably one of the saddest stories. Now, I know a lot of you are deeply upset over the killing of Alex Preddy in Minnesota. It's a sad story nonetheless, but I'm sure a lot of conservatives say, well, don't bring a gun to a cop fight. It appears that MS Now is running a photoshopped version of this guy to make him look hot, or at least hotter. It's not a joke. They took an old photo of him, face-tuned it, gave him some muscle, widened his jaw, gave him a little bit of a tan. This is absolutely insane. And I know it's deeply political and we're analytical when we look at these circumstances, but I genuinely feel bad for this guy's legacy with how they're treating him by basically saying he was so ugly that we have to Photoshop his face and put it on TV because they don't want people to see what he actually looked like. Yowza. Man, okay, well, we're going to talk about that. There's a bunch of other news. Right now, the question is, did Trump concede? And the funny thing is, liberal activists think Tim Walz conceded, and many conservatives think Trump conceded, but Trump's diehard base thinks he won. He's not backing down. They're saying he's just re-strategizing. Well, Tim Walz called Trump and said they were going to work together, so leftists stormed his office, furious, saying no surrender, which, okay. We'll talk about all of that. Before we do, my friends, we had a great sponsor for you guys. It is Crowd Health. Go to joincrowdhealth.com and check it out, my friends. Crowd Health it's not insurance. It is the crowd coming together to help pay for everybody's medical bills. Right now, it's open enrollment season where health insurance companies hope you'll blindly sign up again for overpriced premiums and confusing fine print. Don't just take someone else's word. Trust yourself. Take control of your future with Crowd Health, the healthcare alternative for people who make their own decisions. It's healthcare for under $100. You'll get access to a team of health bill negotiators, low-cost prescription and lab testing tools, as well as a database of low-cost, high-quality doctors vetted by Crowd Health. And what if something major happens? You pay the first $500, then the crowd steps in to help fund the rest. It feels like the options we used to have before Obamacare messed everything up. And of course, you'll join the crowd. A group of members just like you want to help pay for each other's unexpected medical events. The system is betting you'll stay stuck in the same overpriced, overcomplicated mess. And this year it's even more complicated because most of the ACA subsidies expire, which means your prices are going sky high. So far, Crowd Health members have saved over $40 million in healthcare expenses because they refuse to overpay. This open enrollment, take your power back. Join Crowd Health to get started for $99 for your first 3 months using code TIM at joincrowdhealth.com. That's joincrowdhealth.com. Crowd Health is not insurance. Opt out. Take your power back. It's how we win at joincrowdhealth.com. And don't forget, you need to drink coffee. Coffee is delicious, and we've got a whole bunch of delicious opportunities for you. Appalachian Nights, everybody's favorite. Of course, Ian's Graphene Dream is low acidity. Low acidity. This dude, I think, Ian, you sold like 500 bags the past week when we did a promo for it.
Oh, that's a good one.
Everybody loves the low acidity coffee because we hear from a lot of people, they'll drink coffee and it'll give them an upset stomach. Don't worry, we got coffee pods. We do, in fact, have decaf coffee as well. Maybe you don't want to stay awake. Maybe you want some Sleepy Joe or some Unwoke. It's all available at castbrew.com. We got a blend of different flavors. 1776, Mary's Ghost Blend, Focus with Mr. Bocus Espresso, Luck of the Seamus. Come on, castbrew.com. Check it out. Buy some coffee. But don't forget to also subscribe to this channel right now. Share the show with every person you have ever met. Smash the like button. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more, we've got Tony Ortiz.
Thanks for having me.
Who are you? What do you do?
I run Current Revolt. We are a Texas-based newsletter. We cover everything going on in Texas news. So if you're a right-winger and you live in Texas, we are a must-subscribe. There are probably less than 4 right-wing rags in the state of Texas, and we're one of them, which is surprising because Texas is a red state.
Yeah, one of the big stories we have is the redistricting map forecast. Yeah. Texas is going to gain 4 seats. California's going to lose 4. And it's really interesting when you look at this map because you can see where everybody fled and where they went. So it'll be interesting. But thanks for hanging out. It should be fun. Ian's excited.
I am. It's a pleasure to be here as well, Tim. Thank you for talking about the graphene dream on the top of the show. Tim and I have a little ongoing wager, not really, but in the background about what coffee's the best at Casper. I think it's graphene dream. He says it's Appalachian Nights. You got to try both. Let me know what you think. Put it in the chat. Just a little.
Well, there was a surge of Graphene Dream, but it's never outsold Appalachian Nights.
It's tough. It is.
And the Appalachian Nights was made by me, and we didn't think it was going to be that big. It was just like I made it because I liked it.
The branding is stunning. The thing about Graphene Dream is I'm trying to separate myself from the ego because like my ego's like I want it to be the best.
Yeah, you're just glowing and floating on the bag.
Yeah, how badass, and but I truly believe it's the best. I think.
Well, I mean, the low acidity really got people, and we were surprised. Like people were like, "It's my stomach doesn't hurt."
So in addition to going to graphene.movie and checking out my documentary, go to casper.com, get some Appalachian Nights and some Graphene Dream. Libby Evans is in the house. Limmy? Talk to me. Limericks of the Irish with all the green.
Let's do a new nickname for me. I'm Libby Evans. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Post Millennial and Human Events, and just recently the Pod Millennial. We're really excited to launch this first podcast with me as the host. Our first episode is with Michael Knowles, and you can check it out. It's live now on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and you can check it out at thepodmillennial.com.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Let's get into it.
Here's a story from our favorite news outlet, The Times of India. Because the funny thing is, a lot of these big stories that generate a lot of attention, the corporate press overlooks. And websites like this have begun to pick these things up because people are looking for context. But it's a big story. Did Ohio AG candidate claim call to kill Trump? This is very poor. It's written by India, so what do you expect? But it's true.
I will say we did a better job on this one at the Post Millennial.
Oh, you do? You guys do have it?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, we'll get yours instead. But we do have the post from Libs of TikTok, and then we'll pull yours up. Breaking, Elliot Forhan, Democratic candidate for Ohio Attorney General, says he's going to kill President Trump through capital punishment. Now, this guy previously served in the House of Representatives in Ohio during the 23-24 term. He represented the 21st district. Apparently, he lost the primary for this time around, and I'd assume this is just desperation. He's got a lot of controversies, though. He said F. Charlie Kirk after Charlie was killed, and they say, the Wikipedia says, he's the son of two women whose wedding he officiated after Obergefell v. Hodges Supreme Court decision. Interesting. Look at that. Before in 2022, he won 73% to 26%. Well, here's what he has to say about his campaign.
Hi, this is Elliot Forhan, candidate for Ohio Attorney General. I want to tell you what I mean when I say that I am going to kill Donald Trump. I mean, I'm going to obtain a conviction rendered by a jury of his peers at a standard of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, based on evidence presented at a trial conducted in accordance with the requirements of due process, resulting in a sentence duly executed of capital punishment. That is what I mean when I say that I am going to kill Donald Trump.
Okay, no, you can't do all that stuff, brother. You can maybe get charges put against this guy. That's all you can do. Now, what did he say he's gonna? Can you play that first part of that again?
Where he says beyond a reasonable doubt, based on evidence presented at a trial.
Before that, when he says he's gonna put him on trial or whatever, this guy
to kill Donald Trump. I mean, I'm going to obtain a conviction.
How is he going to obtain a conviction?
Of his
you hand it off to judges or
at
peers.
A standard of proof beyond
this guy's
a reasonable
telling you
doubt,
that he's going to
based on evidence.
Going to do some shenanigans and obtain a conviction.
He doesn't even tell you what the charges are. He doesn't say anything.
They don't
about...
need any. Show me the man. I'll show you the crime.
Well, yeah, that's what he's
that's why I'm saying this distinction of I'll get a conviction is a completely meaningless distinction. They know exactly what the point is.
Well, he's running for office. He's going to say the most retarded things he could. You know,
well,
I like how he's using the boomer angle and he's got like the lightning filter to make himself look a little lighter. You know, it's not the post-mortem glow up that Pretty got, but you know,
he's mirroring Tish James, who ran on going after Trump, and so did what's his name, Alvin Bragg ran on going after Trump. Didn't Gretchen Whitmer say that? And Gavin Newsom raised like what $50 million to go after Trump. I mean, they're all.
I guess they're
all
going to keep
doing
upping
it.
the bar, like it was maybe deport Trump and now it's kill him,
Look,
and then
It's just so
I love this post where it was like Donald Trump can storm into Venezuela and capture their president, but he can't arrest one journalist, who stormed a church in Minnesota. He has more control over foreign countries than he does his own nation. Yeah. And I love the guys. I'm just gonna call it coping and seething. Like, they're withdrawing the criminal complaint against Don Lemon because it's actually part of their plan. It's like, no, they wanted him arrested and they couldn't do it.
Yeah, they couldn't
Trump's
get
withdrawing Bovino, and there's rumors that Kristi Noem is going to get fired or reassigned, and he's basically not firing, but you're doing the administrative, like shove him in the corner, and they're like, no, that's actually Trump winning. It's like the reason you see these suburb cops arresting a bunch of these protesters, and these people are like, yeah, but now Tim Walz bent the knee. The police have come in. No, I'll tell you what happened. Trump agreed to pull out Bovino because he screwed everything up. His messaging was bad and Noem's messaging was bad. And the reason why the cops came and pushed the protesters out was because in exchange for Trump's retreat, they offered him safe passage. That's it.
wouldn't a video like this get you killed in like CCP China? Like you just disappeared.
Oh yeah, you.
Well, I mean, this.
yeah.
I'm pretty
this
sure the
right-
left
a lot
like
of
loves
things do
China,
that in
right?
This
Like,
shows
Trump loves China.
This right here is direct evidence that Donald Trump is nothing that the left says he is. If he was anything like the left says he is, this guy'd be in jail just because he'd send his Gestapo down there to pick him up and just toss him in a hole. That's
He'd
what
be in
would
the
happen.
stockade.
Yeah. Now, but what is real is we don't live in a Nazi, fascist, blah blah blah. We
No,
live
we
in a
actually
country
don't at all.
where retards like this can say this kind of stuff, and my eyes roll so hard that they almost fall out of my head.
You can see that with what's going on in like Iran and other places, and you can see directly that we have an inordinate amount of freedom, and all of our rights are protected and defended for the most part.
The left is
compared
just
to Iran anyway.
the left is clownishly ridiculous. Yeah, I can't take anything they say seriously, whether it be arguments on Twitter or these
Or this guy with two moms,
self-aggrandizing BS TikTok posts they put up. Like, it's just so exhausting. It's just like all I can do is just roll my eyes and be like, "You're just so gay."
Did this guy say just flat out like post a tweet where it said, "I'm gonna kill"? Underline. He just said it with no context, and now he's like.
No,
trying
I
to
think this
explain-
was the only thing he said.
Oh.
Yeah. The other thing, too, I mean, we saw Jay Jones just won in Virginia, even though he said he wanted to see the children of Republican colleagues killed. I mean, this is what they keep electing on purpose. So maybe this guy wins.
I mean,
I got to add real quick just for the chat because I'm seeing a bunch of conflicting comments, and I'm curious. So it's split between Bovino was doing a great job. Okay, then why did Trump pull him out? If he was doing a great job, Trump pulled him out because Trump wants to change course, or what's the issue? Others are saying Trump is strategically retreating. It's not a defeat. Trump sent in Bovino. Kristi Noem was the boss. Trump is pulling them out, and I call it cope, right? That's fine. A strategic. I said yesterday, strategic retreat. I said it this morning is not defeat. Sometimes you have to do it, and I'll give him credit for that. I think he realized Bovino was causing damage, and the Stephen Miller message of this guy was going to massacre people failed miserably and made them all look bad. Now he's sending in Tom Homan, but any way you cut it, Trump decided the current leadership team wasn't working. He's pulling them out. That's it.
If you war game past conflicts and battles, especially, you'll see some. Often actually, like throughout history, where the winning side will lose battles pretty blatantly. If you want to consider this like a culture war thing, like sometimes you flank and you send in and you attack the front, and your guys just get it.
I would love to
hard,
see,
and you basically have no choice but to retreat.
I would love to see the Trump administration send ICE into cities or neighborhoods where they're welcome, like right-wing cities, to round up the illegals
They do.
there.
They do,
But
yeah.
like,
Yeah, you
but
don't
like
hear about
also-
it 'cause
yeah,
nobody's-
but like,
nobody's unhappy.
I would love to see like some pro-Trump
Oh, right.
propaganda where like you're showing the city people like welcoming ICE there and like celebrating them, giving them free food and stuff. Like
Is
would
that,
be-
I
that
don't
would be
know if
good.
that's happening.
I think it would. I think if you took ICE and had them do operations in like right-wing cities, you would see the general population be like, "Oh, we're glad you guys are here. Like, here's a free coffee. Here's a free meal."
I got a question for everybody. When protesters were upset over masks during COVID, these were not overtly right-wing people or anything. It was just presumably like, hey, we don't want to, or no. A better example is the vaccine mandate protests. Antifa showed up and started mercilessly beating these people outside of a hospital. Story went super viral. How come we never see any conservatives forming vigilante or paramilitary groups to go and support the government operations of the Republican Party?
Yeah, there's always this messaging by the left that the right has all these LARPing like militia groups, but they never do anything.
They're not real. They don't exist.
And if they do, they're like really small and they show up in like U-Hauls and they just exist. They don't actually like
they were talking
perform
about
any operations. Like you're not seeing this violence.
They don't exist. I mean, when the left comes out and protests, you don't have paramilitary right-wing groups going just beating people outside of like a grocery store protesting plastic bags.
Yeah, you're not seeing right-wing groups burning down like Indian grocery stores.
Yeah, but I mean like more to the point of, if a bunch of leftists show up to protest meat, there's never a right-wing pro-Republican group that shows up and says, leave Cargill alone, and bashes them with sticks, the way Antifa does when people on the right protest Democrat policy positions.
I think it just further demonstrates that like the left is very like emotional. Like they don't have any kind of ability to control their emotions. They get violent easier, right? That's what.
But I'm saying they're organized.
They're
you
very
don't
organized.
randomly just show up and beat people at a protest. You know the protest is happening. You have legal apparatus to protect you in the event you get arrested. They've got the same clothes. They've got tools, shields, weapons. The left is completely organized on every front, and the Democrats actually have a paramilitary wing, and the right has nothing.
I mean, you've been to a lot of these protests on the field, and like what I've seen too, covering like especially like the anti-ICE protests in Dallas, is like you will have these organized groups that will call together a protest, and then these people, they all show up, and then you'll have like 5 or 6, depending on the size, people in like these vests, and they're the organizers, right? They're telling them what to do. They've got the loudspeakers, hey, we need to back off, or hey, we're pushing forward. So like to your point, like yeah, you do have some sort of organization there, and you don't really see that in the right. Like I very rarely see right-wing big protests, but you don't have people like leading them. It's not
about protests. It's about, let's say a bunch of liberals show up to a grocery store saying meat is murder. There's no such thing as a right-wing organized group that shows up to beat them. But there are, when right-wing groups protest things like taxation or gun control, left-wing groups show up and beat them. There are organized leftist groups that align with Democrat policy to beat anyone on the right if they show up in the street to protest.
Well, there's a lot of this stuff, right? I mean, there's Rise and Resist. There was the Women's March last night. We had a reporter go into one of the Women's March virtual trainings, and they were talking about how in Minneapolis and St. Paul, hotel workers will call in the activists to do what they call wake-ups, and then all the activists show up outside the hotel to like bang on their drums and bottles and cans and whatever else they're doing and cause a little mess.
That's what I think is funny. I don't understand why conservatives think they would ever win a civil war when they have no fighters, no communications, no organization whatsoever. By all means, you can point out there are small militias that don't do anything, and they exist like we know there's a group of guys in the South somewhere.
I think part of that is that the right has more to lose, right? Like the people on our side, they have families, they're married, they have businesses, they're business owners, they own companies, they have more to lose. Where like if you're a leftist, like you're a blue-haired Starbucks worker who's single and you're on like 50 mental medications, like the idea of throwing your life away.
But how does that play into the fact that you could have a family and have a communication grid?
Yeah, you're right. But like you're less willing to perform these acts because you're like, well, I don't want to put myself in harm's way because I have 5 people that rely on me.
Have a group chat?
To do what? To chat about, to LARP about we're going to do something one day? Like,
no. The left has organized insurgent networks that are on standby. The right doesn't even have mutual aid groups the way the left does. Meaning the left are literally in group chats being like, bring food to this place. And the right doesn't have this stuff. They have small communities. But again, the point is, if there were to be any kind of civil war breakdown, all of these conservatives say things like, haha, look how dumb and fat they are. And I'm like, bro, you'd be routed in 2 seconds. You have no communications. By all means, you got guns in your basement. But what do you do when 7 leftists are surrounding your house with guns too?
Well, we used to have that with like churches, right? The churches used to come together.
They're
and,
not
like,
networked with each other.
Right.
The churches aren't necessarily networked with each other. I think what conservatives rely on is that the military would be on the side of law and order.
And we saw with Trump's arrest,
think that they're on the side of law and order.
We didn't see that in COVID.
But it would have to be.
That's why I'm like, conservatives are going to get
the military
in 2
was
seconds.
like the police. They were arresting people. We had that in Texas. They literally arrested one of our state reps, Shelley Luther. She went to jail because she wouldn't shut down her hair salon.
Right.
Now she's a state rep.
LaMonica
but like our right-wing
got
governor
arrested in
sent
New
her
Jersey
to jail
for obstructing ICE.
So if it ever came down to it, conservatives are just fractured, disparate, no communications. They got guns, I'll give them that. So it'll be slow to conquer them, but communications, it's the most important thing. The reason why in the battlefields they played trumpets and banged drums was to signal the troops what to do. If you couldn't send the information, you couldn't win. And when you look at what's going on in Minnesota with this massive signal group that they keep rebuilding, and you know they operate in other states as well, you can see that if it all went tits up tomorrow, conservatives would be holding an empty bag saying, what do we do? And the left would be like, take these streets, take these bridges, take these depots.
In 2006, I personally decided that my protest is going to be online. I'm not going to go stand on a street corner and get rocks thrown at me. I'm going to change the world with my voice, like this show. Things like this is a protest. I mean, it's safer. Of course, if the networks get seized, then these can't happen. You got to go on the street. But in the meantime, we've been building out Rumble, these free, not we, but Rumble's been building out these free systems that can permeate and navigate the storm to maintain the revolution.
I'm going to read some of these comments because, guys, for those that are listening and commenting, I know it's the 1% rule, but if you can't understand what's being said right now, you will lose everything you have. And I'm going to make this clear for the people saying, Tim's wrong. Tim, I would die for my family. The left has thousands of people networked. They're dumb as a box of rocks. But if, let's say, a bridge collapsed, how are you getting from point A to point B? The first thing you're going to be doing is saying, I don't know what's going on. And what we see historically in every revolution, civil war, otherwise, is people turn their radios on, they turn the TV on, or they seek out a place where they typically gather information. So if you're talking about in the past, they go to city centers, town halls, or they go to churches. The left already knows what to do. They've pre-planned this. If a bridge goes down, it may be because they took it out. How do they get from point A to point B? That was part of the plan in the first place. They have supplies, food, and they know who's in charge. If everything collapsed tomorrow, conservatives would look to the government and they'd look to online communications. The left would be already in their mesh networks saying, what's our next move? They're 3 steps ahead of you. If you are not concerned about what we learned is going on with the insurgent groups in Minnesota, and you're sitting there saying, I've got guns and I'd die for my family, Tim, you're wrong. Congratulations. You are right. You've got honor, integrity, and weapons, and you would die for your family. Beautiful, and I respect that tremendously. Who are you with? Where are you going? Where does your water come from? Where does your food come from? And who is going to be in control of the weapons surrounding your jurisdiction? The left has already planned these things out. They already have your license plates. They know who you are. They know where you live. They probably know what weapons you have. And before any of that happens, they already know who they have in your neighborhood, and they're watching you already. That's why when James O'Keefe pulled in a rental car, they knew his phone number. They knew what he was driving. This means someone in the state had his license plate and gave access to the database to this insurgency network. And someone at the rental agency gave the information on the rental to this network as well. I'm sorry, if you can't understand that, you are cooked.
I think that the fact that the right doesn't protest is part of the reason why. No, I don't think that the right are as numerous and organized as the left, but I do think that there are groups of people on the right that are organized, and I think the reason people don't see them and they're more below they're not observed is because they don't go out and protest. They don't have the same kind of infrastructure because they're not out doing things.
Agreed. It's actually quite simple. Here's the question. Has the left formed a state-sponsored insurgency network with access to government infrastructure and weapons?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they have. Has the right?
No.
So who has the advantage in any conflict between the left and the right ideologies?
I just think the right is, I subscribe to the theory that people in the right generally have more to lose. Like nobody
You're
here
not
is
wrong.
showing up to
But does
physically
that change what I'm
protest,
saying?
right? Because you have a lot to lose. We have businesses, we have family, we have children, right? Whereas the left consists more of like a lot of losers, like bottom tier people that are willing to throw themselves in danger for their
Agreed.
cause.
So who's got the advantage in a conflict?
Well, yes, maybe yes, I
depends
guess,
on what
but
kind of
like maybe I'm in my
give me an
bubble.
argument,
But,
why not?
But during COVID, my group of people, we were like organized, if you'd call it. We shared places where to go to eat that didn't enforce mask mandates, where to get ivermectin, where to do these things, and it was a right wing sphere. Like we all came together, and maybe that's because I live in Texas, but we were organized. We didn't have like these mass underground groups and stuff. But like
in the Alex Preddy incident, 50 people had swarmed the agents that day. 50. What people see and what they're being told is that Preddy showed up to protest. He showed up at a protest. That's not what happened. A network of insurgents, they're armed. They have people with guns that were out patrolling. We've seen all the photos and videos. It's just that people on the right don't understand the depths of the insurgency, and they don't believe it, or they don't want to believe it. And they're also extremely arrogant, thinking, haha, we got guns, we're going to win. Communications is everything. On that day, CBP had apparently been intercepted by at least 50 different people, which is probably why the agents were freaking out and overly aggressive. Because this may have been the 7th or 8th time a group of people jumped out of their cars, standing in traffic, screaming at them. And no matter where they go, they're being stalked and followed. These people are on shifts. And, you know, it's funny because there's, I guess we'll get to it in a second. I'll show you this right now real quick. We'll come back to it. But Bonchi over at Red State says the quote, he had an extra mag is the right-wing version of, quote, he crossed state lines. A completely irrelevant qualifier only meant to elicit assumptions. Wrong. Now, the point here is this guy was on duty. He was on duty for a paramilitary organization whose intentions is fifth-generational warfare to resist, their word, the federal government duly elected dispatching law enforcement. Their intention is, quote-unquote, I'm not touching you, harassment and warfare. The goal of the left is to harass to the point where any media that emerges will be a recruiting tool. That is, get in the face of a cop, punch him in the face if you have to, start filming after he retaliates.
Well,
now, there's a question of why did Preddy show up with a 9mm with an extra magazine?
I think it's pretty normal. I carry an extra mag.
Except he had been on duty with a paramilitary group whose intention was to stalk and harass federal law enforcement operations. And a week prior, he had been physically attacked, they're reporting, CNN, by CBP and said, I thought I was going to die.
Are you
And
making?
didn't he had some of his ribs broken? Also.
Yeah, yes. So here's a guy who confronted ICE as part of an organized insurgent group who's confronting law enforcement for the purpose of a fifth-generational war. It's a PSYOP tactic. He gets injured, says, I'm going to die, shows up next time with an extra magazine and a 9mm.
I think it's just more simple than that. I think a lot of these people are losers. Like, what was Preddy, a divorcee, right? Like he was
divorced,
he was a low-level
no kids,
loser that
yeah.
wanted to make a scene. You see a lot of these
But
like these
here's the
body cam
thing, like,
videos where these people
because
get pulled over, and the first thing they get a speeding ticket. The first thing they do is they whip out their phone, they shove it in a cop's face because they're like, I'm streaming on Facebook. I'm streaming on Facebook. I think it's similar to that. I think that these people are just losers that want to make a scene that they hope they show up on social media.
What does that have
I
to
think
do
you're
with
right,
what we're
but
saying?
yeah.
I just don't think that like this idea that he's part of like this huge network of really high intelligence organization. I think he's just a loser that was carrying a gun.
That sort of makes it so that he doesn't have anything to lose. And if you have a bunch of people who don't have anything to lose, they're going to go out there and
these are
lose
dangerous
it,
people. Agree.
Right?
But see, this is what I mean. I got to be honest. This is exemplifying the blind spot of the right. The people who organized this group are not the retards on the ground getting killed. They don't want to die. They send people in their stead. It's like The Patriot. The best movie ever. When Cornwallis says to Mel Gibson's character, stop targeting my officers. Could you imagine what the battlefield would be like? Chaos? That's the way they view it. The people who are organizing these groups have OPSEC training. In that viral post, they have OPSEC hygiene operations. Now, Preddy was dumb as a box of rocks, sure, but that's what you use for a foot soldier. That guy's not gonna be organizing anything.
I'll give you an example. Like we had in Texas, we had the John Brown Gun Club, and these guys provided security for these drag shows. They would show up in all black open carrying rifles, right? One of their leaders was this Korean guy, I forget his name now, but he ended up going on. He was on these lists forever. He was always an issue. Been following him for years, right? He'd always show up to protest. He's like this 5'5" Korean kid, and he was a total loser. He'd been kicked out of the military. His parents didn't really like him. Like just total like nobody, right? Anyway, he went on to be one of the guys that was in charge of like assaulting an ICE facility. They shot at ICE officers. They eventually caught him, but like again, it's like they were organized in a Telegram group, I think is what it was.
So why is it that these groups still exist years on after all these things have happened?
I could see your argument like we need to be more focused on getting into these groups and like because he was on these lists. He was always the
Tim,
FBI
you're
always
talking
says
about-
they were
My
on
point
a
is,
list, but we're not.
The response is these guys are just dumb losers. We all agree. And the dumb losers are weaponized as foot soldiers by the intelligent leftists who are fomenting revolution.
I don't think, at least from what I saw, that their organization wasn't funded or organized by anybody. It was just these group of people, these losers, decided together collectively to do this. There wasn't any higher power organizing them.
Characterizing them as a group of losers, I think, is a mistake. But I think that it's also a mistake to say that the right doesn't have anything. The left is out there being activists because Donald Trump is in office. They kind of went underground when Joe Biden was in office, and they did a little bit of stuff up in the Pacific Northwest. But the right wing doesn't come out and organize because they're not activists the same way. So whereas I understand what you're saying, that these people have a network and stuff like that, I think that the reason you don't see the right's network, because there are signal chats that are a bunch of right wing dudes. I mean, I'm very familiar with them.
I had covered from 2011 till about 2019 or so in these direct action meetings, watching these people work. I was in France at a safe house where they were manufacturing weapons for riots, and the right really does not understand. And
what would you consider like Patriot Front?
What about them?
Well, because those guys get together,
Like
they
the
train.
feds?
Well, you call them the feds, but the guys that are in Patriot Front, like if you believe that they're not feds, they get together, they train together, they go to the gym together.
I would
What about
say
those 3%er guys?
They're small, and my point is this group in Minnesota is networked with every other state. It is a mesh network. That's why we talk about these Antifa cells, the groups that I refer to as the tourists. How is it that we see the same left-wing activists organizing in China, Turkey, California, New York, Canada, Mexico? Well, because these people never get caught, never get arrested. Cam Higbee and more so. Who are the guys that were what I'm talking about? They're finding all the paid networks.
Yeah, Cam and the guy we had on
Lance Videos.
Lance Videos.
Yeah.
And there was another person.
I don't know the other person.
Well, the point is, the high-ranking, intelligent, high-level people. First, at the highest level, you've got millionaires, billionaires, financiers, and we all know their names, running these organizations and funding these various NGOs that do this. Then you have those are the highest level guys. There are high-level people, smarter than anybody in this room, running and organizing these things, and you're never going to learn their names. They've networked interstate, and they tell people what to do. They pay for lawyers, and when Antifa, I mean, take a look at this. They've got judges. Mm-hmm. Trump can't even get Don Lemon arrested, and conservatives are like, "I'd win a civil war." You have no judges. You can't even arrest one guy. Like it is the epitome of arrogance that the right does not have a national mesh network the way the left does.
Well, it's different than the left. I think the right's. I mean, if we want to talk about networks, get a shot of that Rumble logo. Like the left. Let me explain. The left is a group of street violent thugs. Look at it. It's simple, not really highly intellectual. They're willing to throw rocks. The right are businessmen that don't want the system to burn. They build organizations like Rumble, like things legitimately. Like, where's the network? It's out in the open.
I don't know.
I'm just going to go ahead and say I think this conversation, and many in the chat, exemplifies the point of I have witnessed powerful multimillionaire leftists organizing, fomenting violence, planning it, and we know what Yuri Bezmenov talked about, and it's like no matter how many times you say the right doesn't have it, they're just like, we don't need it, and they're dumb. It's like, okay.
The thing is, though, the left is highly intellectual because they're all very educated. They all have graduate degrees in, like, Marxist theory and gender basket weaving and all the rest of it. What I keep being surprised by, and I was surprised when we looked at this Women's March virtual meetup last night, which was a training, right? They had breakout sessions, and the one that our reporter went into was talking about how to deal with hotels. And a woman from the Sunrise Movement said, "We have started having workers start requesting noise demonstrations. We call them wide awakes. Start requesting wide awakes in the middle of the night. We've had reports of ICE agents leaving after our noise demonstrations. We've had multiple hotels report to us that they have quietly decided to kick ICE out because they don't want to say it publicly so they don't get backlash, but they've told us they've decided to kick ICE out. We've even had 2 hotels. We've gotten word, not from them, but through the grapevine, they specifically refused to house ICE because of our noise demonstrations. She said, it sort of comes from the logic of when ICE is here, they need places to sleep, they need places to eat, they need ways to get around. What are ways that we can physically interrupt the ways that they do that so that we can kick them out? So what she's saying is they have networks for hotels, lodging, restaurants, food service, and all the transportation.
James O'Keefe.
That's very deep in
James
there.
O'Keefe pointed out that when he would go to a hotel, employees were in these grids and would flag his information, and then all of a sudden people would swarm and start stalking him. But we got breaking news. We got to jump to this from OSINT Defenders. How do you say it? Apparently, Ilhan Omar was attacked,
Oh, I hope she's
sprayed
okay.
by an unknown liquid. We've got the video here.
Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment.
So apparently he had a syringe full of a liquid.
Did she try to punch him?
She
tried
went
to punch
after him.
Yeah.
He sprayed something on her.
He sprayed something on her.
That's awful.
I hope that guy gets put away. For
See,
a
but here's
while.
the difference of the reaction between. Like,
Sir, this is not a wet t-shirt contest.
I don't think she was trying to punch him.
She did
looked like
go.
she-
She did
She
go in
put her
after
arm
him.
like that, but her hand is open.
I don't know.
She was
It
in a
looked closed
general
fist.
recoil.
Yeah, that was closed fist. Look at.
She did go in.
Yeah,
See?
she's
That's
trying
not
to-
a wind up for a punch.
Well, whatever it is, she didn't back away.
didn't back
She
What
went
she did
in.
when she got hit by the liquid, she backed
I
off,
mean, at this
and then
point,
she got
she
into
needs
fight
to
or
be
flight.
getting out of there and taking that sweater off immediately.
Yeah, that could be some kind of acid attack.
Now, what's interesting about this comes just after we saw that viral video of the woman saying to fill syringes up and bring them to events.
With what?
Well, I don't know what she said. Some people mentioned that she was a nurse that worked with like paralytic agents, but I think, correct me if I'm wrong, what she was saying was that if leftists are showing up with syringes full of unknown liquid on their bodies, ICE and CBP would be terrified to touch them because they could get stabbed and infected with or injected with something.
So just like fake liquid or whatever. Just
Well,
the
this is a
fear of
nurse.
being injected.
She made a comment about having something on them, but I mean, it doesn't really matter what's in the syringe. That's the point.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
The point is when if someone splashes you with a clear liquid, you're cooked.
I think you're supposed to treat it as a deadly weapon. I mean,
Yeah,
a deadly
absolutely.
weapon, right?
It'll be interesting to see the fallout from this, like whether we get identification on who this guy is and his political leanings. I'm sure they'll scrub everything from social media about him. Pretty
Not if
quickly.
he's on the right.
Yeah, true.
Just a random
Which I mean,
dude
it's
that's-
likely political.
What did he say? Let's try and hear what he says.
Impeachment.
He looks.
Did anyone make out what he said?
He looks ethnic.
Let's try again.
Asshole.
He looks
I don't
like Arab
know.
or Mexican or something.
Impeachment.
No idea. I don't even know if he's speaking English.
Look at the dude, the old guy in the audience, just kind of just like hanging out, just watching.
I'll say something too about in the previous conversation. The right is completely unwilling to engage in tactics to win war the way the left is, and we've cited the Curtis Yarvin quote, which is really great, that the right treats power the way a wine snob treats alcohol, and Democrats treat power the way alcoholics treat alcohol. The left is. I mean, we were talking about this a moment ago. The AG in Virginia saying he wanted conservative children to die in their parents' arms to teach conservatives a lesson.
About gun control.
Yeah.
And then he was elected.
And yeah. So, conservatives very much, and it's a coalition really. I mean, moderate liberals as well, unwilling to engage in the kind of behavior that wins conflict. The left, they have no problem.
It's not as you can engage in other ways of winning too, but they don't want to engage in the way that the left generally would.
No.
engage.
The right is unwilling to be evil, and evil is the fastest path towards victory.
Yep.
So would you say that's the way it should go?
What do you mean the way it
Like,
should go?
do you avow this?
About
This, if it was a right winger spraying something to assault and hurt.
this is beneficial to the left. So my point is the most powerful thing that ICE could have done in the Preddy situation was to stand down and let him get shot. I'll use this example. It was the May 29th insurrection. Is that the date? I always mix them up.
It was May 20th, yeah.
May 29th?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I'll check right now.
So thousands of far leftists come to the White House, and they tear the barricades down, and they're beating cops. They set fire to St. John's Church, and they firebombed the White House grounds. Trump, or more importantly, Barr.
It was May 29th.
Yeah, Barr sends out the cops and crushes the revolt, pushes them out. The media then says Trump is bunker boy and mercilessly beat peaceful protesters for a photo op. What should Trump have done if he wanted to win? Now, unfortunately for the Republicans, this would have been I would describe as not necessarily the most of malicious evil, but not the honorable course of action. And that would have been Trump should have stood down and let the far left ransack the White House. What would the narrative have been if the day after, May 29th, the White House grounds were aflame, St. John's Church was razed to the ground? They'd say, oops. Trump would come out and he'd say, last night, thousands of far left extremists laid waste to the White House grounds, set fire to the historic St. John's Church and burned it to the ground. It's been destroyed. This country cannot tolerate this degree of extremism. And for this, we are organizing the Capitol Police to go nationwide and hunt down these insurrectionists. Congress, Republicans could announce a panel on the M29 committee to figure out how it is that this group was so organized they were able to ransack and rush the White House and destroy a church and everything they did, the smoke and the fire emerging from D.C. See, on January 6th, Trump wanted the National Guard, but Pelosi wouldn't do it. The Capitol Police wouldn't bring in backup, and there's a viral video of J6ers begging the cops standing around to do something.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they? Well, look at the narrative the Democrats got out of it. Trump incited an insurrection. It's his fault he's no longer eligible to be president. Look, if they wanted to stop J6, they could have done it in 2 seconds. I've seen fatter cops than the ones they had stop bigger riots. Now, they stood down. Let these people storm their way in for whatever reason, and you can argue it's incompetence. You can argue, look, I know a lot of cops were fighting on the front of the building, but they didn't get the backup they wanted, and the National Guard wasn't sent in. Trump went about May 29th in the overt, standard, honorable way. We will not let extremists damage the White House or burn down churches. Send in the troops. The media loved it. The left loved it. Peaceful protesters mercilessly beaten by Trump's Gestapo. Even though 70 plus feds were injured, a total of like 103 government employees, law enforcement were injured, the media doesn't care. But what happened when Andy Ngo was left bleeding from the ears and nose and face? All of a sudden, there was a narrative emerging that the left had gone too far and they started to panic. The media couldn't deny it. Brian Stelter finally got on his show and said this was wrong and shouldn't have happened. Because to the regular people not paying attention, to the normal public who only get their news and politics passively, they were seeing images of a journalist, a gay Asian, left bleeding, bloodied up with his ears were busted.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a traumatic brain injury.
This is fifth generational warfare that the left understands perfectly, and it goes back to Occupy Wall Street. Occupy Wall Street only exists because Anthony Bologna pepper sprayed 3 women standing on the sidewalk. It's a fact. The initial weekend of Occupy Wall Street was small and nobody was there. I mean, not nobody, but it's small. That week after that, I was there. It was day 3, the third day of the protests, and there was about 7 people standing in Zuccotti Park. About 7. It was raining, and we were standing under a tarp, and a cop walked over in a trench coat and says, "Man, more power to you." They didn't care. And the guys under the tarp said, "Don't worry, we're going to do a bigger protest this weekend. More people will come out when they're off work." That weekend, more people did show up, and they decided to march through the streets. The police decided to end the unpermitted march by wrapping everybody up in a kettling net. And there were 3 women standing on the sidewalk doing nothing. They weren't fighting. They were just standing with their arms down. And Anthony Bologna, who was a white shirt NYPD, for no reason walked up and blasted him in the face with pepper spray. In about 12 hours, the video got 1.2 million views on YouTube. At the time, YouTube still being relatively young, this was the fastest viral video they had seen. Excuse me. All of a sudden, there were occupies in every city across the country. If Anthony Bologna did not pepper spray those women, there was no press, no attention, nothing. And then after this, you got the takeover of the Brooklyn Bridge and the mass arrest, which the left then used again and said, the police marched us onto the bridge intentionally and then arrested 300 people. All of a sudden, now you have 300,000 active Occupy protesters across the country. Every major city had an Occupy protest. That's what created it. They have known since then. The tactic is, it's the quote, "I'm not touching you" tactic. You must be perceived as the victim at all times to win public support and delegitimize the government. That would mean if Donald Trump on May 29th let the far left ransack everything, yes, some people have said the left will claim he's weak. How could he let these people do it? And Trump could come out and say, you're right. I was too weak, and for that, I apologize. I had believed the reporting from the press that they were peaceful protests, and out of an abundance of caution, a fear that innocent, peaceful protesters could be injured, I ordered the police to stand down, and I was wrong. I won't make the same mistake twice. We will be expanding the Capitol Police Force to hunt down these insurrectionists and make sure they face justice. Trump and the Republicans keep playing this straight on. I liken it to this. The left are like ninjas and the right are like samurai. Deeply honorable, staring you straight down and saying, this is what I'm going to do if you act out. Meanwhile, the left are dressing up like handmaidens, walking in the back door and assassinating the emperor while no one's paying attention.
Do you think that conservatives should be organizing and should be putting together groups like the left is doing? Do you think that that's what should be happening?
I think that's not necessarily like what the left is doing. But the right needs to have mutual aid groups and group chats networked with each other state. State officials should be organizing this among people who care, and they should be in communications, not for tracking license plates, not for disrupting law enforcement operations, but for knowing what to do in an emergency and to generally just be connected because of what we're witnessing the left do. It also helps to control for who is this guy and why did he do it? Already people in chat are saying false flag attack. I wouldn't be surprised. Ilhan Omar is going to get a ton of attention from this. A move like this does not benefit the right. And every single person knows it. Donald Trump's assassination, the left claimed he faked it. They claimed that Trump staged his own assassination because of how beneficial it was to him, with liberals coming out and saying he just won his reelection. The assassination attempt on Trump's life guaranteed he'd win. And the crazy thing is, we still weren't entirely sure if Trump was going to win. But that night on election day, I remember we're sitting at the Daily Wire office and I told the Daily Wire crew guys, I was like, hey, this might get contested. We may be here, like the election may go on for a week. And they said, fair point. We'll give you the studio for the week just to be sure. And I said, sounds good. And then that night, clean as a whistle, Trump won, slam dunk. That's the power of these psychological operations and the perception of the American people. So ultimately, my point is this. The conservatives and the right don't like lying. They don't like being lied to. They don't like being dishonorable. And they're unwilling to do dishonorable things in war for the most part. The left is completely willing to and does every day. And that's why moderates have shifted to the right. And that's why the, quote, he was trying to massacre people narrative did not work. Because the right is not moved by being lied to.
I think a lot about honesty and deceit. Generally, I used to think honesty was very virtuous and deceit was sinful. It's not, according to the Catholics anyway. They don't care. You can lie. I think because they realize that deceiving authoritarian power structures is actually can be a very good thing. So like,
I don't think that's exactly.
Yeah, can we get a fact check on the Catholics? Catholics in the chat.
Honesty and deceit are not sins and virtues.
Can they lie? Can Catholics lie?
But lying is in violation of the Ten Commandments, which is
I'm pretty
part
sure.
of Catholic.
That's Judaism. I'm
basic.
talking about Christianity.
Yeah, that's
Christianity, deceit is not a sin.
No. That's not
think
it.
you're wrong.
Okay, we'll pull it up. You want to
Thou shalt not bear
$1,000
false
about
witness.
Thou shalt not bear.
You're talking about
false
Judaism.
witness. No.
We're talking about
it's the same.
Christianity.
Bible, bro.
It's the
The Ten
same.
Commandments
The Ten
from the Old
Commandments
Testament.
they are part of the basis of Christianity, and that is a moral
All I
code
said
of
was that
Christianity.
honesty and deceit are not a virtue and a
Right,
sin
I'm
in Catholicism. They're
saying
not the
that's-
seven. They're not even considered in the virtues and sins.
I don't know. When I give
There-
confession,
there-
I have to.
You gotta
There is
say, you gotta
seven
tell the
deadly
priest you
sins
lied.
are not
You can't
actual,
lie.
like,
It's not good.
They're not like the Catholics don't think the 7 deadly sins are the actual sins. The Catholics think the 10 Commandments.
It's a direct violation of the 9th commandment.
Yeah.
It is a sin. Ian,
Yeah,
come
you
on.
Those
can't-
are okay. I'm talking about Catholicism.
Right.
Yeah.
Just Catholicism.
I was
Which adheres
raised
to the Ten
Catholic.
Commandments.
Modesty
right.
is not a virtue in Catholicism.
In the literal virtues,
Yes,
the vice,
that's what
the
I'm talking
vices
about.
and
The
virtues.
7 virtues and the 7 sins.
Where in the Bible is the
see,
seven
it's
virtues
not
and the
a-
seven
I'm
sins?
Catholic, and I
Okay.
never was told
Let's
it's okay
just
to lie.
clarify
with
this.
Tony on this
Ian
one.
is referring to the 7 vices and the 7 virtues, but that doesn't mean those are the only vices and virtues.
And also, that's not biblical. Like the 7
let's-
virtues and the 7 vices,
I'm
those
just
are
saying
not
there's a
biblical.
time and a place to
Guys,
lie
let's
that can
talk
be
about
good.
the news.
You know,
let's jump to this story. We have
Damn,
this.
you guys interrupted my awesome point.
Okay, let's talk about the news. We have a viral tweet from the redheaded libertarian, and this makes me look. I got to be honest. I'm saddened by the death of Alex Preddy. I'm saddened by death in general. I don't want this conflict and this fighting. There's an argument over the legality and what people were doing, whether he was right to have been there, armed or otherwise. But this genuinely makes me feel bad for the guy's legacy. Josie says, it appears MSNBC gave Alex Preddy a tan, a stronger jawline, better teeth, a shorter forehead, and a nose job to make him look hotter for the affluent white female liberals. They broadened his shoulders, thickened his neck, and gave him biceps. I kid you not. Fact check. It's real.
That's crazy.
Now, check this out. I've got the 2 articles. This is the actual photo of the guy. And he's got a big, long nose. He's thin, kind of pasty and pale. It is what it is. I'm not trying to rag on the guy. This is the image they made. They gave him a tan, shortened his nose, widened it a little bit. He's got nicer teeth. They gave him a broader jaw. Look at this. His chest is thicker.
They lightened his hair.
Here's MSNBC. They're using this edited photo. I'm sorry, MS Now.
No, it's Ms. Now.
Ms. Now is what
Ms.
they say.
Now.
They
No,
say-
that's what I
They really
say.
pronounce
okay.
it. Oh, okay.
So
I
they,
like
they,
it.
they
I think
actually
it's better.
do. Now here's People using the real photo. People.com using the real photo. MS Now using the fake edited make him look hot photo with clean shiny teeth. This is insane.
The post-mortem
That's
glow
like-
up.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's the
but I'll tell
Giga
you why
Chad
they're doing it.
version.
Yeah, that's
I'll
what
tell
it
you
is.
why they're doing it, because when Luigi Mangione
Right.
got all the press, these women were like, ooh, he's so hot. And when Tyler Robinson got pressed, they were like, no.
It's the meme. It's the meme where like the office lady gets hit on by the hot guy and she thinks it's lovely, and then she gets hit on by the fat
And it's
weird
sexual
guy, and it's
harassment.
sexual
Yep.
harassment.
The,
It's
the
that.
goal
This is
here
that.
is because this will generate sympathy from white suburban females. They are going to see this guy and they're going to be mad, and they're trying to lionize him by making him more attractive.
And then they'll all go get in their minivans and block ice in the middle of the street.
Yep. This is
That's the goal.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's genuinely insane. Look at this.
Do you want a post-mortem glow up when it's time? Would you want one?
But it's got to be really ridiculous. Like, I need flowing locks and just like massive muscles and perfect teeth.
Like blonde flowing locks?
Yes.
Yeah.
And people will just be like, that's the way we remember him.
Yep.
Yo, it is the listen, we were just talking about in the previous segment the lengths the left is willing to go to win, the right is not. And some people on the right sometimes do things like this, but it doesn't work because what motivates the right is calling out the deception and understanding what's happening. But the left is fueled entirely by these zombie zealots that just believe what the TV tells them. And they actually gave this guy a posthumous glow up, right? Post-mortem, because they want women to be attracted to him. They want to pull, look, I was saying this before, Trump won because of suburban housewives, and it was RFK Jr. who got him there. So they're attacking RFK relentlessly, and they're trying to convince these women to oppose Trump so they can win midterms and shut out the Republicans through by any means necessary.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's hilarious, to be honest with you. The whole
It's funny,
situation.
but wow.
Damn.
You also have the NYPD is now arresting anti-ICE protesters at a Hilton in Manhattan, where protesters are agitators, whatever. These crazy loser leftists are saying that ICE agents are staying there.
This is crazy, man. Look at this. This is like this is what MS Now actually ran on their TV.
Giga Chad Petty.
Someone called him Alex Prettier.
Yes, that's about right.
Yup. Looking at
Well, they did the opposite of Joe Rogan. The whole
oh my
making
god,
him
is this
gray
the actual video?
during COVID.
Video evidence from the scene shows that Preddy got between a woman who'd been pepper sprayed and a federal agent who
Where's
was
the photo?
pepper spraying her. Preddy is then pepper sprayed himself
You gotta give
He
me the
continues
timestamp,
to try
brother.
to protect her, but he's tackled and restrained before ICE agents open fire on him.
I don't even know
again,
where the timestamp is.
and again, and again, and again, and again. Not a single shred of video evidence.
Let's see if they have the timestamp on
This is all
wherever this
SIG's
is.
fault. I think we haven't talked about
Yeah,
that.
for real. I mean, this
really
is pretty
all
crazy.
SIG's fault.
I've had people hitting me up asking me if the SIG thing is real.
Yes,
and
it's
I'm
real.
like, yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
And send him the video where the guy pinches it, it fires.
Didn't the police officer have a misfire like that,
There were
discharge
multiple.
like that?
They're actually they're oh god.
It's a horrible gun.
They're actually they're firearms instructors that won't allow people to bring SIG 320s to their classes anymore, just because it's not worth the risk. So it is real. Get a Glock. That's my call on it. But I mean, look, you can't if the left will adjust the way Joe Rogan looks to make him look sickly during COVID,
Yep.
so they can reinforce their narrative, it makes perfect sense that they would do this to make him look more attractive, make him much more of a sympathetic character, charisma and how attractive a person is, whether we like it or not. That's something that all human beings respond to. If you've got if you're some kind of weird looking dude, and look, Pretty was not a particularly, attractive guy generally.
I think they removed it because it's not in here.
Well, maybe
So
they
people
did.
Maybe
are
they realized they got played.
Yeah, they may have gone on YouTube and then trimmed that out of the
Can you
video.
do that?
You can do that. I mean, I can't find it in this clip, but it's on their website. We found that already. Like, this is MS Now. It's literally the thumbnail.
hilarious.
I mean, you can tell.
Man, I just
They make him look a lot less like Ari Shaffir in the.
They make him look less Semitic. Yeah. That's,
He looks right wing.
Yeah.
He looks like a right winger.
Yes, he does. He looks like he's had some
if I saw that
steaks.
guy in the street and I had to judge it or guess his political leanings, I was like, that dude's right wing.
yeah, I think
That's
they cut
hilarious and true. He does.
it out. Yeah.
They're like, oh, look, you make him look like he had some steaks.
Make him look like he eats protein and works out.
He's a member of the Clean
which he
Plate
clearly
Club.
does.
I'm curious your thoughts on what's going on right now with Trump saying he called Waltz and that they're going to work on a deal. I see a lot of people on the left are saying Waltz surrendered. A lot of people on the right are saying Trump surrendered. I think this is largely Trump's administration was routed. Pulling out Bovino and reassigning Noam shows that whatever they were doing wasn't working. Sending in Homan is plan B. But I'm curious what you think, if this is a retreat, surrender, on whose part?
Man, I mean, I like that we were in there. I think the optics look bad. It probably does look like a retreat to a lot of people, but I think the Trump administration is going based off of polling they saw, where the majority of people saw what was happening as like an L, right? They saw it as a bad thing, and they're just responding to that. So as somebody who supports like ICE going in and rounding up like horrible people and just people that just shouldn't be here, I kind of view it as a retreat, but I mean, I don't care. I'm glad. I hope we go into more cities and we continue doing this.
Yeah. I mean, look, the right that's angry with Trump for not being forceful enough are going to say that it's a retreat. The left, if they think that Waltz won or lost and they think that Trump won, fine. I'm cool with that. If that's their perception, you can have that perception. As for me, I kind of want to wait and see what happens. I do think that I think Kristi Noem's days are numbered. I think, yeah. And I'm not saying like right away, but I think that she's going to eventually be removed. And
who
I think that
who do you think would replace her?
I have no idea at all. I haven't even looked into like who would be candidates or who might.
Too bad Giuliani's not up for it again.
Yeah, right.
But even if it is a retreat, like just fine, go to a next city and do this again. Like just keep doing it. Like
We have
do it anyway.
Yeah.
We had another angle of the attack on Ilhan Omar, and I'm wondering if we play this, you can see the guy where he's sitting. I wonder if we're gonna get if we're able to hear what he says. So
must resign or face impeachment.
I think he said something. I think he said like she's not resigning or something.
Maybe.
She's not resigning. Because she's calling for Kristi Noem to resign.
Right.
Or she's not resigning.
Well, Democrats are trying to impeach her.
She does charge him though.
Minnesota strong. and we will stay resilient in the face of whatever
This is
they
kind of
might
like
throw.
the Trump moment
I think it's
where
fake.
Trump, remember he got shot and Trump
You think it's
stayed.
fake?
Well, the one reason I think it's fake is that she's not reacting to being sprayed with an unknown liquid. Any security team is going to be like, rush him to the bathroom, get the shirt off now, because it could be a corrosive chemical.
There's acid attacks, for
or
sure.
or it could be a biological agent of some sort. You can't just stand there.
I think the normal female reaction would be to freak out too, right? Like it is a little weird.
It's the response to
freak
that
out
from
when
the
there's
left is going to
stink
be
butts.
like, Ilhan Omar is strong and refuses to back down. But for her security to be like, nah, just ignore it. He sprayed you with something, you're fine. Like, that's weird to me. I don't know. I'll just put it like this. Occam's razor suggests Ilhan Omar has the worst security team I've seen in a long time. I mean, for real, they're like, just keep going about your speech. Don't mind that he sprayed you with something out of a syringe.
Yeah, it is weird that she keeps going, isn't it? Like, what is on her? And that's one
Unless
of
she
those
knows
weird,
what it
like,
is.
pleat shirts. where
Everybody
that's
said,
not
I mean, look,
that's
I
not a
don't-
thick material.
I don't think they hired a guy to false flag or anything. I mean, it's a possibility. I just think it's very strange that Ilhan Omar isn't reacting to being sprayed with an unknown substance. I mean, you get a letter in the mail with white powder and they lock everything down, and then they make you like do a chemical wash or whatever.
Yeah.
She got sprayed and she's like, who cares?
down. I'm going to finish my remarks.
Nah, she's shaking.
It is important for me to continue to lead my Democratic colleagues in demanding her resignation.
What do you think the liquid was?
It's probably water. I think it's water. I don't know. I think I don't think it's actually fake. It is weird though that she's not reacting. It could just be that she's shocked, and you can see her hands are trembling.
Yeah.
So
I mean, look, the point of that is kind of just to be like, you can be touched. You know, it's to scare
Yeah,
people.
yep.
It's like, hey, you
I
can.
got you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can touch you. You
We're
know,
here.
so whether or not there was anything that actually is going to cause harm, the point was to be like, hey, you know.
see,
you
the
can
thing
be
is
touched,
though,
too.
in modern warfare, we know exactly what the outcome of this is. It's a rallying cry for Ilhan Omar. She's going to raise millions of dollars.
Yeah, this is a net gain for Democrats for sure.
Well,
So-
not just her. I mean, the Democrats are all going to use it
Of
across
course.
the country.
No right-wing organizer would advocate for something like this. So then the question is, who benefits when you watch this stuff? And it's no one on the right benefits from attacking Ilhan Omar. Only
No,
the
I've
leftists.
Nobody. It's interesting too. I mean, all of our first reactions were that's terrible.
Well, that's what I was going to
You
say.
know?
Is like if you reversed the political leanings on this,
They would be
they would
excited.
be celebrating.
They
this.
would love it.
The
Yeah.
left would love this. Like, oh, I hope it has acid. I hope she got hurt. Like
They still love that. They still love that Charlie was killed.
Yeah.
Some people, some sick people are.
Yeah, I mean, there were
most people I know are
protesters.
not
I'd
glad.
There were
argue the majority
protesters
of
out in
Democrats were
Minnesota
happy
last
about it.
night. Yeah, there were
read that?
protesters out in Minnesota
Where'd you
last
read
night.
No, I said I'd argue that. I
Who
think
were
would you
yelling
even
that,
begin to justify that claim?
that Democrats celebrated the death of Charlie
The
Kirk.
majority of Democrats.
I would argue
celebrated
that the
it.
majority of Democrats were probably okay or happy with the death of
That's
Charlie
like
Kirk.
Or chill with it. I mean,
claiming what
because the
like
thing
6
too is
million people believe. You have no way of proving that, or even
there were
you have no way of proving the
candidates
opposite.
running for office.
I'm not trying to prove the
There
opposite.
were candidates running for office who
Yeah.
were openly, chill with the murder of Charlie Kirk, and their staffers were chill with the murder of Charlie Kirk. That was uncovered. Like undercover journalists got all that information, and all of these people were still elected into office. So even if those Democrats were not like yay about it, they were certainly fine with it.
Yeah, they were okay with it.
I see
And
a
they
lot
were
of people-
fine with the attitude.
A lot of
And I
people
certainly
will-
know that when I've talked to, I talked to people in my life who were uncomfortable talking about Charlie's death, even knowing that I knew him, they were uncomfortable talking about it because they did not want to appear to acknowledge that it was bad that someone who they thought was a racist, horrible person was killed. The people that I'm close to. And it was kind of hard to deal with it. So I don't know if it's necessarily the majority, but I think certainly a lot of Democrats, even in private, were perfectly comfortable with the idea that Charlie was
I
murdered.
think you need only look at the man on the street interviews that we've seen from a handful of people where they're literally just in Times Square being like, what do you think? And they're like, well, Charlie was a bad guy, you know?
That's
Would
what
you
they
would
say.
you agree that the majority of college campus students were okay with the death of Charlie Kirk?
I can't know how many people is that you're talking
Just
about.
take an average college campus.
No one could make that assumption accurately.
No, just take a guess
Hold
based
on, I got an idea. Ian, you want to do a speaking tour at colleges?
I was actually just about to go do that before Charlie got killed. That was been on my mind a lot.
I think you'll get attacked at every single one, and they'll try and shut you down.
And it won't be for anything.
But I understand why you think
it
that.
won't be for anything you say. It'll be for the association.
Yeah.
And no right wingers are going to come in and protect you.
I understand why you guys would to say those things too.
Because they're likely correct.
Well, this is the world you live in too.
I think it's that it's not about the world you live in. It's like studying the past to predict the future. Why would you be able to speak at a college campus?
Because of what I'm talking about.
Why would you?
I mean, I was to speak at like.
Does it matter what Ben Shapiro was talking about?
Go to Rice University and talk about graphene or something.
Yeah,
I could do that.
I'd be willing to make a bet with you that you will be protested and threatened.
I didn't get attacked when I was there last time. Maybe
but
if
you
I'm
didn't
talking
go.
politics,
You didn't go on a public speaking, formally promoted, postered event.
Yeah.
You showed up.
Right.
Walked in with one or two guys and no one knew.
You think if
were
I
there.
did a graphene talk at Rice, I'd get protests?
I think if flyers went up
Really?
saying Ian
I'm
Crossland
not
is
that-
coming, they would absolutely shut you down.
I don't think I'm that divisive.
It
I'm not even in the
doesn't
public eye that much. man.
That's not.
I mean,
remember,
but
like,
that's not what this is about.
We said it's not because of you. It's because of the association.
That's a long association.
You're on Timcast every night. Is that a long association?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Why? You're here
Because
every
Tim's
night.
like a musician friend. I mean, we're like.
The left
It's
doesn't
like-
view you
I know
like
you
that.
got politics going on,
You
bro,
are
but
here
I love this
providing-
because like the trope of Ian is that he's sleeping, wakes up right before the show starts, sits down, has no idea what's going on.
I intentionally want to hear about the politics fresh when I get here.
But it's not about it's not about
Sometimes.
right now. It's about the past 7 years. Like you've just not listened.
Well, I mean,
Charlie Kirk is
that's-
dead.
Who do you think has a higher
Okay,
chance?
that was
Who do you
sputtering.
think has a higher chance of getting assaulted on a college campus? Hassan Piker or Tim Pool? Assaulted.
Probably Tim.
Think about it.
You don't have to think
Well,
about
should
I'm
it.
take
not
you,
going to
like, half a
snap the
second
answer,
to-
even if I think I know what it is. I'm going to think about it. Yeah, I'm going to think about the question
Okay,
before
what
I
do you
answer
think?
it. I think Tim has there's a higher likelihood because of the political climate and the.
Hassan Piker can go literally anywhere he wants.
Hassan
and
Piker
he
can
might
go
get people-
into Turning Point USA, will not be attacked.
I thought you were gonna- he
and
go
he can
into
go
the
into a
centrifuge of the
leftist
fusion
protest,
reactor.
and he will not get attacked. And Charlie Kirk can't even go to his own event without getting shot and murdered.
It's true.
That's a statement I don't disagree with. I mean, the Charlie part, I don't disagree with. That was awful, but I don't know. I don't even know why we're talking about like how wise are people on college campuses? Is that really what?
No, it's the political climate and the threat of violence. That's the point being made. Because you're acting like you're unaware of what the left represents and what they'll do.
No.
Like,
I'm
it's not even a question of the left. It's a question of these jurisdictions. The AG of Virginia wants conservative children to die. His words. They'll teach them a lesson.
Yeah, if you had a right-wing AG calling for the death of a Democrat president, the right would disavow that immediately.
Yeah,
They would say this is
seconds.
horrible. But a left-winger AG does this and calls for the death of Donald Trump, and they're like, we're going to vote for him. And he might win. To Libby's point, he might win.
He's going to say what he's got to say to win, right?
You know, and they have Jay Jones
have.
won, Spanberger won, even though one of her campaign aides was caught on camera talking about how everybody on the Spanberger campaign was, not unhappy that Charlie Kirk was killed.
Yeah. Look, you don't have to like it, Ian, but that's the reality.
Where
of
the
the
protest
situation.
at
for the
this
struggle
AG guy's
session,
house?
guys.
Like, we're at his
It's
business.
not a
What,
it's not a
convince you or
struggle
something?
session.
Sorry to interrupt. I was
you're
responding
good.
to Phil.
It's not a struggle
Yeah,
session.
no protest at his house.
Yeah, where's the right-wing response to this AG calling for the death of President Donald Trump? What are we doing? We're just mad on the internet talking about it?
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like what it sounds like you're implying, and I'm hoping that you'll correct me, is you're implying that there should be some kind of kinetic reaction.
Well, you would think that
Because-
there would be at minimum a protest, which I would think was okay. I'm not calling for violence or any kind of physical action on the guy, of course not. But you think there would be some at least basic response where like they're protesting his house or they're doing these Democrat wake up calls or whatever.
I don't think that I don't think that expecting the right to act like the left is a realistic thing. Like the right really needs something dramatic to get them out of the house.
Yeah, I would
because
agree.
again, they
I honestly,
they got to go to work and stuff. So
I don't want to call it a black pill because that implies an emotion. But I think mathematically, looking at what's going on right now, the forecast is not good for the right in this conflict. There's a combination of a lack of ideological fervor required for conflicts like this, lack of organization, and lack of self-awareness. The left has got a bunch of zombie zealot retards for sure, but cannon fodder is cannon fodder. The right relies on government. I was talking about this earlier that in the American Revolution, the Americans were fighting for a dream, and the British were fighting partially with mercenaries for pay.
Yeah.
The people who were dispatched, the regulars, the redcoats, weren't sitting here being like, I have a dream of a great British empire that must be preserved. They were like, these are my orders, I guess. Certainly there was a Declaration of Independence. They were loyalists to the United States. But the Americans were very much like, we are going to have our freedom. And there's all these profound, give me liberty or give me death. Ah, you don't need to pay someone to fight for that. Mm-hmm. So I see these conservatives post that leftists are being paid to do this or paid to do that. And it's a fundamental misunderstanding of what the left represents. They represent a zealous ideological fervor. You need no money for that. In fact, you can simultaneously convince these people to sacrifice their own lives and pay you while they do it. That's how much they believe in what they're doing. So the right continues to rely on machines that have failed them. And that is, you can't even arrest Don Lemon, a guy who committed the crime on camera, because the judges ideologically oppose you, because Trump doesn't have the plan or the mechanism to actually deal with enforcing the law in these ways.
Well, I mean, he doesn't really have the ability either. The president can't just pull judges out. Now, I would love to see.
Reporting is they're going to go for a grand jury indictment after the fact, but good luck, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good considering how deep the rot is in our judicial system. The judicial system is the biggest problem we've got now.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because to Tim's point, and this is something I've thought about a lot in terms of the Revolutionary War, because the Americans were willing to do whatever it took, right? They basically were pulling guerrilla warfare. They were fighting on Christmas. They were doing all of these things that were not part of the rules of warfare. And the British soldiers were like, as you said, there were the Hessians. They were getting paid. They were out there doing what they were told to do. They were, fighting in the way that wars were fought. And they weren't expecting a bunch of scrappy people with no food and, eating their horses and all the rest of it to come at them so hard. And we don't have conservatives willing to do that because conservatives are trying to maintain the status quo. They're saying, we built this thing. We'd like to keep the thing we built. And the left is saying, really? Well, we're just going to burn it down. We're going to torch it. Yeah. And it's hard to fight something like that.
Because the left, whatever happens for the left is a victory, right?
I'm going to jump to this.
Things, good.
Let's jump to this story. We have this from Wall Street Mav. Actually, it's from Louder with Crowder. Nick Sorter says the Trump admin has ordered ICE not to arrest, quote, non-criminal illegals. One of them actually said, quote, this feels like we have just reverted to the Biden days. Here's the report from Stephen Crowder and Nick Sorter.
One of the stories that I've unfortunately been hearing this morning is that Border Patrol agents have now been given new orders not to, for example, if they were to run a license plate and it comes back as that person is an illegal that Border Patrol was forced to let into the country under Joe Biden, they are no longer allowed to arrest that person.
And is this
even
the first
though they know for a fact that they're illegal?
Is this new information that you're just bringing to light right now, that these new orders? Okay. And I don't want you to reveal your sources, but you have someone who you trust on this. You believe this is a matter of actual approach and policy now.
This actually came from two separate Border Patrol agents on the ground in Minnesota. They're very, very frustrated. Obviously, they feel like one of them actually said that this feels like we just reverted to the Biden days.
And I want to stress that Nick had the report on Bovino getting pulled out before everybody else. So I trust him. I trust him on this reporting. And this lines up with what we saw when Trump said that he was pulling Bovino. There were reports that they were planning to withdraw CBP from Minneapolis. And this is why many people are saying Trump has surrendered. I don't see any evidence right now of Trump doing a strategic retreat and regrouping to go back in. Everything suggests Trump is pulling out and backing down.
2 days ago, I couldn't think of any other outcome than that. I just couldn't in my brain. I was like, any other outcome would be bloodshed that nobody wants, except for the zealot street soldiers and the activists that are foreign paid or whatever. But this is it. This is the only outcome I could see was that, okay, well, we tried in Minneapolis. It ain't happening in Minneapolis. Move on to the next city. And maybe we'll be back in Minneapolis in 2 years.
There's a bunch of different ways to look at it. And I don't know that I trust the Trump admin enough to give him the benefit of the doubt, especially after the Epstein files. But if you wanted to, you could say Trump's looking at the big picture. Minneapolis is a hot spot that's generating a bunch of negative attention, and this one flashpoint risks sabotaging his net positive support right now, which CBP and immigration operations, Trump is enjoying a net positive support across many polls. He may be thinking, we've got 60 operations going on across the country. Let's not have this one drag us down in the press. The things where it's going off without a hitch and quietly with no press, we will press and maintain. Let's let this one die down. That could be the strategy. Again, just following the Epstein stuff and what we've seen from Trump in his first term, I don't know that I can give him the benefit of the doubt in that regard.
I think you're right, man. I mean, I'll reiterate if you want me to. I don't know. What do you guys think about it?
I mean, like I said earlier, I don't know what the strategy is here. I don't know if there is a strategy even. I think that like one of the things that I guess that I have a problem with Donald Trump about is a lot of times he just kind of is wishy-washy depending on the polls and stuff. And if he's getting polls that are saying that he's, his favorability is going down too much because of this, he'll pull out. He'll back. He's not. I mean, look, he had that nickname Taco. Trump always chickens out, and I hope that this isn't the case. I mean, I want to see a lot more deportations, and particularly in Minnesota, where the government is clearly involved with preventing ICE from carrying out their job. They got to do something about this, because if the federal government can't actually execute the law, then other states are going to follow.
I suppose if I had to make sorry, go ahead.
No, I just think the taco thing is overplayed. I think a lot of times what you see when people start screaming taco is that he has negotiated to the position that he wanted. He just negotiates differently than, say, Obama, who's like, let me make all of these concessions before I come to the table.
Fair enough, but if the position that he wanted was just to get some of them out, then
well, with Greenland, for example, I think he got what he wanted.
Fair.
He got the land and he got control without having to do very much or outlay much cash other than building bases.
But this is one of his signature policies. Like deportations is one of the things that he ran on. It's one of the reasons people, voted for him.
Sure. No, I'm with you. And I think that we do need to deport, the criminal illegal immigrants who are here. I think we need to deport a lot of the people who came in over the past 4 years. I think that's really big. We do have a secure border now, and I think that one problem that we're going to have is if the Republicans lose in 2028, then we're going to have a situation where, because Congress has not strengthened any of the immigration laws, has not done anything to secure the border past just watching Trump do it, we could get a Democrat in there who just flings open the doors again. So I think that a big part of the problem is not just that we're not doing enough right now, and of course more could always be done, but I think a big part of the problem is that Congress is continuing to abdicate its responsibility to the White House, and that's going to go very badly for America if the Republicans lose in 2028.
Yep. I completely agree. And it's not.
Where is Congress? Why are they betraying us all the time?
Congress was never really on board. There's never, the majority they have is razor thin, and all it takes is two people to say, no, I'm not down with this, because the Democrats almost always vote in lockstep. I mean,
and we're looking at another government shutdown this week, probably.
Yeah, I mean, Fetterman said that he won't vote for a shutdown. Like he won't let, but that's not enough.
The rest of the caucus probably will.
I mean, I love the Fetterman meme. He got, bonked on the noggin, and now his brain's working properly. You know what I mean?
That guy's awesome. Michael Malice called it too.
Yeah, I know. It's strange, but he seems to say a lot of the right things, but he votes the wrong way. So,
well, if he won't vote for a shutdown or what have you, then that's a positive. But even still, it's not enough. It's not enough to beat a filibuster.
I think Trump's done this for a while, and we've discussed this on the show before, that there's a realization. I mean, guys, what's silver at 110? Gold's at 5,150. I think Trump knows full well that the collapse of population is going to cook the American economy, and many other countries are going to feel the exact same way. And I think he's very much, they read him the Riot Act. You deport these illegal immigrants Biden brought in, economy crumbles and America falters, China takes over, and Trump was like, okay. And so the ICE operations, they're not mass deporting millions. They've gotten estimated in hard deportations 300,000. That's it. And Trump's targeting the worst of the criminals, which we all agree makes a lot of sense. But I don't think Trump has any intention of going after run-of-the-mill illegals who are just taking jobs.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that because of his comments about, if they're
Hospitality. Remember, he was like,
workers
if the people who are here, we're going to let them stay because we need them. And then he got backlash and then said, okay, no, we're going to walk that back. But he's not.
Well, but that's what Tom Homan has been saying all along, is we're going to deport the worst of the worst. We're going to deport criminal illegal immigrants, and the way that you end up with the deportations of people who are just hanging around is in the sanctuary cities where ICE agents have to go out, and they've said, if we encounter people who are here illegally, we'll arrest them too. But they're not going after the people who don't have criminal convictions or warrants or charges or what have you.
If they don't pass the SAVE Act and figure out a way to secure elections, and they don't deport enough people, then the census in 2030 is going to be a mess. And, even if Republicans win but don't do these things, right? So say the Republicans keep the House and they keep the Senate in 2026, and then in 2028, J.D. Vance wins, but they don't do anything about the illegals that are here, then the census is going to be a shit show again, and Democrats are going to roll in, in 2022 or 2032.
Well, and conservatives still don't have a network of mutual aid, et cetera, et cetera. So then you have like a whole situation, right?
The
Wars are
wallet.
fought on soldiers' bellies.
You can always send someone some Bitcoin via the Rumble wallet. That's a good network of aid you could utilize.
Do wars have to be fought on soldiers' bellies in the age of Ozempic when no one eats anymore?
Yes, because calories matter. That's it. And, people need to, I think many people would benefit from looking up past conflicts and current ones. And take a look at what happened with the Arab Spring, especially. Read the local reports in the history on, say, what happens to Syria, what happens to Aleppo. Look at these photos of how beautiful Aleppo was, and then after the civil war, it's just rubble, it's just wiped out. So, a lot of people commenting, saying things like, try that in my town. So
Jason Aldean said that.
Sure did. And let's say there is a real conflict that breaks out, like an actual civil war. Will your small town be able to secure its points of, its trade routes, its bridges, its waterways? And where does your water come from? So right now, a question for most of you is, where does your water come from? I assume most conservatives can answer that question. However, if you're suburban or urban and you're right-leaning, you probably don't know. For most conservatives, it's actually quite easy. Your well. You probably got a well on your property. Most people live in rural areas have wells. Then the question is your groundwater secure and free from possible sabotage or contamination? For rural areas where you're actively involved in conflict, I don't suspect that it's effective for any kind of left-wing group to go and try and sabotage 50 different wells. But if you're in a suburb, they often have like water reclamation facilities and closed aquifers. And like outside the Chicago area, there are these areas where they collect rainwater, and there's areas, they have reservoirs, and they block them off because they can be easily contaminated. And so it actually happens quite a bit where kids are goofing off, and then the police are like, stop, get away from there, because it could be bad for the water supply. Batman style, right? When he was going to put the fear toxin in the water for everybody. But the question is, can you defend where you are, but more importantly, do you have access to resources? The benefit for conservatives is that they tend to have animals in rural areas. You're going to have animals, you're going to have access to your own water, be more self-sufficient, but you're further away from everybody. So it's easier to get isolated by a small group of insurgents. And I just think, take a look at those considerations, especially in suburbs. A lot of suburbs tend to be, somewhat right-leaning or at least a little bit more conservative, but still dependent on city infrastructure, which can be easily sabotaged.
I mean, look, there are a lot of people on the right that are aware of these things that you call them preppers or what have you. But the vulnerabilities, they tend to be more than one person can handle. So you do need to have some kind of network, That's about all I'm going to say about that. So
I have a water filter that I carry around with me. It's called what are they called?
Cove Pure.
No, not that one. It's
Life straw?
Life straw in my backpack at all times.
Get a
Bro, it's actually really scary to me that people don't know where their water comes from.
What's that?
People don't. It's scary to me.
Nobody.
It's wild because 100 years ago, every single person knew where their water was coming from.
It's like just the human phenomenon of people not caring until it directly affects them. Like,
well, yeah,
so many things in life are just like whatever. Until
average person can't even name their mayor probably for their city.
I mean, look,
seriously, dude.
I'll say this: like, there's a lot of people that when COVID went down, people were like running around, like, what am I going to do about this? What am I going to do about that? My life didn't change one bit. Right, like I went to Walmart and I was like, oh wow, there's no toilet paper. Good thing I got some at home. Right, like
I actually got into a fist fight with an old lady over the last can of beans. Knocked her ass out.
I thought you were going to say she got
can flew in the air, caught it and ran. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. We were fine. It's the crazy thing about being in the news 24/7, always, every single day, watching the breaking news. We knew it was going on before it even happened. Yeah. So I was covering the COVID outbreak in China before anyone in the United States even knew it existed.
I remember you probably knew it as early as like November then, right?
No. It wasn't.
It was like January.
It was early January when people were collapsing on the street in viral videos in China. And YouTube actually told us explicitly, you can't talk about this. Is weird.
Yeah, that was.
And then they
wild.
were like, "You're not going to get banned for it, but we'll demonetize any video you make," which is like soft censorship. And I was like, "Well, I'm not going to ignore this. This is crazy."
There was a moment with the right when people that saw that stuff that we were panicking. I was one
buying
of them.
masks.
I was like, "Yeah, I bought a mask."
Yeah, people were sending me masks, and then all of a sudden, a month later, they're like, "Don't wear a mask," and I was like, "Huh?" Yeah. You sent me a box of masks.
Then people were saying all these people were dying and stuff, and then you'd sit around, you look at the numbers, you're like, no, this shit makes sense. It's actually not that bad.
No, I disagree. I think it actually was substantially worse, and I think the real conspiracies they downplay the actual death.
So you think more people died in America from COVID than
in the world? Yeah,
in the world.
Globally.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, watch these videos from people who have, I did a reaction video to one of these on the Tim Pool Show channel. There's the guy who's like, China's supposed to have over 1 billion people. Yet all their city centers are empty, stores are closing, the malls are empty. They're lying about their population.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't know, or 300 million people died. They were locking them in their houses. Where we're at in West Virginia, we've been there for several years. Since COVID, none of the businesses have recovered. And so the question is, how? How have they not recovered? I mean, at least by now, we need food for people. No, they're continually collapsing, and they can't find employees to work jobs. And so there's a bunch of arguments as to why it seems that people are gone. One example I gave is on the 4th of July, I think it was last year. We went to Chicago, and I drove through my neighborhood, and there was nobody. When I was a kid growing up on the south side of Chicago, every block, you'd walk down the block, look to your left, kids launching fireworks. You'd walk to the next block, fireworks. You go to Vidham Park, they're playing baseball. There's folding chairs everywhere. People are grilling. Everyone's partying, explosions in the distance. The next day, for July 5th, we'd go walking down every street, picking up all the free fireworks left behind. Last year I went, weeds growing in the baseball fields, soccer nets put up in the middle of them so you can't even play baseball anyway. Nobody was playing soccer. And I was asking my buddies, where is everybody? And they're like, nobody goes outside anymore. And I was like, no, hold on. You can't just say they're on the internet, because internet numbers have also gone down post-COVID. During COVID, viewership was high. It has normalized. So we're simultaneously seeing no one going outside, and we're not seeing the internet numbers where you'd expect them to be if people were just inside of the internet. And so there's another element of this is that people didn't have kids. So there are no kids to go outside and play. And I think that a potential component as to why it's not just the U.S. where people are reporting, it seems like towns are empty. And there's a bunch of new ghost towns forming, universities collapsing. I think it may actually be that the initial projections on COVID were true, and they're just not, they don't want people to know.
I don't know, you think it's also like a culture change? Like, you see these Gen Zers, they don't, they reported today that Twin Peaks filed for Chapter 11. Twin Peaks is like one of these Hooter adjacent restaurants, and like it's filed for Chapter 11 because Gen Zers just don't go out anymore. They don't engage in high risk, risky behavior. They don't drink. They don't smoke. They don't. They're not having sex.
We're not seeing the online viewership numbers.
You don't
to
think
correlate.
there's more content out there? Like there's more people.
There
is,
is, but
this?
we're actually seeing viewership go down for everybody.
Aren't we having like a population collapse? This is
Yes.
something Elon Musk is talking about all the time.
So that's Gen Alpha. So the question is, but millennials all the same. So there was this video where it was a Chinese guy talking about China's supposed population of 1.4 billion. Yet all of the major roadways are closed, like are empty. Since COVID, it seems like there's nobody around anymore. And that doesn't make sense for a country that has 1.4 billion. So he said, I think China's lying about their population. And they actually have 500 million. And I'm like, or a lot of people are dead.
So you think that COVID just wiped out a ton of
I'm
people?
not saying I know for sure. I'm saying it's an interesting idea. We know that China was running crematoriums nonstop. We had the satellite images. Even CNN. This is because I did a big thing breaking this down. CNN reported during COVID, China was running crematoriums 24/7. You could see the smoke rising, and during COVID we had talked about it. And it's not like this was never a big conspiracy that was happening. Again, CNN reported China was running crematoriums 24/7, and it particularly freaky as to why.
How do you explain the U.S. population then?
What about it?
Well, like you're saying that viewership's down here, that would imply that there's less Americans now.
Indeed. We're seeing businesses close. Post-COVID, businesses haven't recovered.
What I'm saying is anecdotal because I'm in Texas. I didn't see, anecdotally, I know 3 people that died of COVID, personally.
Yeah.
I caught COVID twice.
I don't think I know anyone that.
I know that
they were all boomers in mine. They were like really old
there are businesses in like Western Maryland, Virginia, and the West Virginia area that have never recovered after from COVID.
Well, and
they've shut down, never come back, and there were businesses that did try to come back, and then I don't want to single out anyone's private details, but there's a restaurant that closed, and we used to eat there, and I asked people, how did they go out of business? I don't understand, and they said. They couldn't find any staff. They couldn't find anybody to work.
There was a restaurant I really liked and it went under too. And that was why. And they switched and like you could only get takeout and you couldn't sit down.
There's also a
super bummer.
Friendly stopped doing breakfast.
Really?
Yeah.
But
super high. Some high end restaurants in our area announced they were just going under because they couldn't find people to work.
In our area, the Walmart stopped being 24/7.
Yeah,
they closed at 10.
And I think we have seen signs of population collapse across the board post-COVID that isn't explained by people are just at home.
Well, and West Virginia is a state that people have been moving into.
Yeah.
More than out of.
Let's jump to this. We'll get one more segment, and this is from Interactive Polls. This is a hammer drop politically. The 2030 Census Apportionment Forecast Update. Take a look at this. This actually is also just generally showing you net in-migration. So California is going to lose 4, Oregon's losing a seat. And then you get like Idaho, Utah, and Arizona gaining a seat. You've got Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois losing seats. Illinois losing 2. New York losing 2. You've got PA losing 1 seat. Look at that. Texas gains 4 new seats. Florida gains 4. Georgia gains 1. North Carolina gains 1. You can see where everybody's fleeing. And you can see where they want to be.
U-Haul publishes every year. They publish a report based on how many people are booking one-way trucks to a specific area, and Texas had the top 5 cities or top 4. I think it was like Austin, Dallas, Houston, and McKinney.
McKinney, where's that?
McKinney, Texas is northeast of Dallas.
Okay,
it's a suburb. So yeah, everybody's coming to Texas, and I don't blame them. As somebody from Texas.
Poor Rhode Island losing a seat.
Are you born and raised in Texas?
No, from Illinois, Chicago.
Okay. Oh, you're from Chicago?
Yeah, Lower East Side.
Oh yeah, did I know that? I probably knew that.
Yeah.
We probably talked about Portillo's quite a bit.
Yeah, we have Portillo's in Texas now.
Yeah, because also another funny thing is that In-N-Out's left California.
Right.
Oh wow.
They're in Tennessee. They're headquartered in Tennessee now.
And we're getting White Castle in Texas here soon.
Wow.
Yeah, everybody's coming to Texas.
West Virginia just got Wawa, which
no,
was
everything's
great.
Well, I shouldn't say that. We have hills. We have hills and sand dunes, but
you like lake countries too. Right?
I don't like it. It is unfortunate.
Areas.
I don't like Florida or Texas.
Texas is very boring. It's very flat. There's not a lot to do.
A lot of poker rooms.
And have sex, and I guess backdoor poker rooms.
Take your kids to the park with all that sex.
They got big billboards
in Texas.
Texas,
gambling's illegal in Texas.
Not poker rooms. Texas.
Oh, like okay. I see
casinos are illegal.
Yes.
Yeah, the Lodge Card Club. Shout out, probably the most notable card room I would imagine anywhere. And It's Texas, baby.
They keep trying to legalize casinos in Texas, and they just won't do it.
Well, you've got what is it? World Star? Is it not World Star? What's the in Oklahoma, the biggest casino in the
I
country
forget, but they lobby against legalizing in Texas because they would hurt the
exactly.
The casinos on the border for Oklahoma, they suck. I took the wife once, and she was like,
No,
it's
not
horrible.
Not that one.
Maybe I haven't been.
I've never been there, but it's apparently like miles wide.
Really? I'll have to go look at that.
It's like on an Indian reservation.
Where do you fall on the pro casino?
I am anti. I'm actually ambivalent. I think the problem with gambling expansion is that like the ubiquity breeds addiction. But I also am not someone who thinks we should ban things based on someone else's addictions. Otherwise, we'd be banning alcohol too. I think a lot of conservatives are very moralistic and like gambling is bad. You should never allow it. And I'm like, well, a guy who gets off work and goes to the sports book with his buddies and puts $50 down on Super Bowl or something just to have a good time, and that's all he does. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Right.
He's trying to get a little excitement on Friday night with the boys. He's been occupied with work, and he wants to, feel that rush when he sees it coming in, and he's bet on his money line. He's like, yeah, and it's just $50. It's a problem when you see people. I've heard stories, man. There was a lady. She got arrested. She mortgaged her house without her husband knowing, and then took the money to a casino, lost it all in like a half an hour, and then started having panic attacks. I've heard stories about a guy did the same thing, and you see it all the time, man. You go to these casinos, and you wonder how it is. I tell you, I wonder how it is. I watch a guy at a craps table with 10 grand, just playing craps, and I'm like, what does this guy do? Actually, I'll tell you a funny story. We were at Hard Rock in Tampa this past week, and me and my boy Robbie. Shout out Robbie Mann. And we were in the high limit area. And I was talking with one of the servers, and she had brought a drink to Robbie, and so we gave her a tip, and she was like, oh, thank you. And it was a good tip. And then she was surprised by it, which I didn't think was actually that big of a tip. And I asked her, I was like, do people in the high limit like not tip you? And she's like, well, you'd be surprised. And I was like, I guess not, because the perception is either they're rich snoots that don't actually want to give any money away, and that's why they're rich. That's actually not true. The reality is the people who are playing in there are pretending to be rich. Yeah, they don't actually.
The 50K millionaire.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing at MGM in DC. I was playing some poker, and a guy sat down, and it's one of the funniest experiences. I love this stuff, man. And he's throwing money around like a lunatic. It's low stakes. It's a $500 buy-in, and that's low stakes. And he makes a dumb bet, loses, and then he goes, "You think I care?" And then he pulls out a wad of cash. I got $10,000 right here, and everyone goes, "Whoa!" And then I was like, "Wow, man." And he's like, "Yeah, this money doesn't mean anything." And he throws more bills on the table, and he's like, "Buy me back in." And then he kept doing that, and then I was like, "If you don't mind me asking, like, what do you do for a living?" And he goes, "I'm an engineer. I make $600,000 a year." And it's like, okay, you got money to spend, but $600,000 a year. I mean, so he's, after taxes, maybe he's doing $30K a month take home. He's living in DC, which can be moderately expensive, but he might have like $15,000 disposable income every month to go and throw around $3-4 grand at a poker table. But you can't do that every day. You can't do that every weekend. It's something where this guy probably shows up once every other month to dump $3 grand and pretend that he's ultra wealthy. Super rich people. The story is that Bill Gates walked into a casino, put $20 on blackjack, lost, and went, "I'm done," and walked out like he didn't need to play. So anyway, the point is, I find that you go to these casinos, most people don't have the money to play at these levels, and it's insane that they do. So, like, there's a game. Are you familiar at all with casino games or anything like that?
Yeah.
Do you know what Mississippi Stud is?
I don't.
Mississippi Stud, we call them carnival games. You will ante. So let's say it's a $10 minimum. You put $10 down. Dealer gives you 2 cards. You look at them. If they're good, you can bet $10 for them to reveal a 3rd card. If you like it, you can bet again. He'll flip over a 4th card, then a 5th card, give you a 5-card poker hand. You get jacks or better, you win money. So the way it works is, let's say you get dealt ace king if you put $10 down. You look down at ace king, it's good. You pay $10 more, and they'll flip over the next card. Let's say they flip over an ace. You now have a pair of aces, you're a winner. So then you can triple up the next 2 spots because you know you've already won. That's the game, right? So $10 means if you want to play a full hand, at minimum, it's $40. At maximum, it's $100. Who the is betting $100 a hand. A hand takes 20 seconds. Then you go to some of these casinos like MGM, or you go to Hard Rock Tampa. I mean, literally any casino. And we're there on Saturday night, and the minimum is $25. That means at minimum, one hand is $100, at maximum $250. Who is sitting down and being like, I can play a 20-second game for $250 consistently for the next hour? I don't get it, man. That stuff makes no sense to me.
Degenerate behavior.
I think what people are doing is and you can see this the way the casinos do their tier structures or reward structures. It looks to me, based on like the Hard Rock tier structures, they expect most people to play like once every 4 months. It's ridiculously easy to get status with Hard Rock. Seems like their players are largely tourists who fly in, lose their money instantly, and just leave right away. And then you look at the Penn casinos, for which they're the second biggest casino network. It's ridiculously hard to get status. They expect you to be a regular who lives in PA, who goes every day to the casino and grinds money or something. So anyway, long story short, casinos are bad that we're expanding them so rapidly. I got no problem with like, oh, there's a casino, a couple hours drive, and you go there and you have fun. But it is getting pretty terrifying that we have a gambling economy, especially Gen Z is becoming just enthralled with gambling.
Oh yeah, there's prediction companies. There's like prediction betting is huge, even in politics. Like you can bet on the outcomes of races and stuff.
I mean, here's a crazy thing. This is the future economy. It's the prediction economy. We have an attention economy right now. But if you are someone who's smart, this is going to be really weird. So the people who watch Timcast IRL can probably become millionaires off of any prediction market. If you watch the show every single night, I'll put it like this. If you watch every video I make, you are going to be on the forefront of what is happening in news. You'd then go to a prediction market, and if they're saying something like, will Donald Trump, do a backflip or whatever, and you can be like, wait a minute. It says 60% yes. I literally just watched Tim Pool show a statement from Trump saying, tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'll do a backflip. I'm buying yes. And then Trump does it because you were paying attention to the news. I talked about this with stock trading. Like if I hired someone to trade stock based on the news reports we covered, I'd be a billionaire right now. Because so for example, when Elon was buying X and the Tesla stock collapsed, I'm like, that makes no sense. Tesla's doing great. Mm-hmm. The media is the stock. People are just selling the stock because they're scared about Elon making a risky venture on X. So I bought a ton of Tesla stock, paid out handsomely. So these prediction markets, I think we're going to find is there's right now, I guarantee you, we're on the verge of seeing a ton of Gen Z influencers who literally just can understand what's likely to occur and they bet on it and they win. And there's going to be jobs rooted in, and the AI is going to track it, predictions. Human networks that predict things, the AI then puts that in its machine.
Yeah, I was going to say, wouldn't it just be easier just to feed all these videos and like all this into AI and have the AI like make bets based off of what's going on? I'm sure
for now it's not really capable of doing it, but it's the inverse. It's that the prediction markets are the wisdom of the crowd determining the probability of an event to occur, and that is fed into the AI, and the AI then can utilize that for assessments of whatever their plan is or what they want to do.
You know what I think I don't like about gambling, because I do kind of like gambling. Personally, it's fun. Is online gambling, the accessibility to it, because they could easily
WinStar World.
Someone could develop an app where it's just a big red button, and every time you press it, there's a 49% chance you double it, and a 51% chance that it goes to zero.
That exists,
and it's directly tied to your bank account, and everyone over 18 might have it. You just hit there and slam the button over and over till your account either says plus or minus. What's it called?
So all of these online apps have a game where it's 0 to 100, and then you can change the range for the payout. So you can put it at 1 through 25, and when you press the button, if the RNG hits 1 through 25, you'll win 3 to 1 or whatever. And so people literally just mash the button, and then you see it go 43, 17, 16, 81, and they're going yes, and their money's going brr, 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 brr.
I think I've seen those.
Already exists.
In those situations, they have to deposit money into an account with that service in order to use it.
Well, it's Technically, yes, but if it's crypto based, they're basically using their address and just having their money.
That's risky because you want to create friction for vices in general. You know, adults can handle them in moderation, but for kids to go out there and just be like smash, 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 and like lose, and then they lose, and especially if it's directly to your bank account and it's like auto deducted, you got to be careful.
That's awesome.
There are these prominent gambling influencers where you only ever see their big wins, and the perception created, and the casinos love it, is that you can be a winner too.
Yeah.
But these slots, these machines, they don't work this way. Well, it's funny. I watch these videos where it's some guy's like, I'm going to be betting $2,000 a spin, and then they hit the $1 million win, and it's like, yeah, that doesn't happen. So there's one theory that it's all rigged and fake. One theory is that what'll happen is an influencer will go to the casino and say, I want to make a video where I play baccarat and win a bunch of money or lose a bunch of money. They'll hand the chips to you. You'll film the hand, win. They'll give you the chips. You go, yeah, I won. Camera's off. Here, your chips back. So you never actually had the money. Or you lose, never actually had the money. Or they point you to machines that they have set to win better. There's the argument is that typically they say slot machines are all regulated. They have to pay out based on RNG. No one believes that. No one. That makes no sense because the argument would then be a casino would buy a slot machine and at the moment they put it in, you hit a button and win $1 million. Well, how is the casino going to pay out that $1 million if they just got the machine in there? So the assumption people make is the machine has to take in a certain amount of money before it can pay out. Now, the legitimate argument is no, the casinos have to have a cash reserve for the potential for any payout before offering up any wagering. Makes sense, right? Talk to any slot manager or slot dealer, and they tell me the same thing every time. The new machines never pay out. It takes a few months before the people hit jackpots. Same thing every time. We were at Tampa on the high limit slots. This guy, he puts in $5,000 and he's like, I'm gonna show you guys something. And he puts in $5,000 to a huff and puff, and he hits it. 10 minutes later, all gone. His money was gone. And you know what he goes? He says, you got to play this machine right now. So I sit down, I put in $100, I hit the button twice. $10 spins, I won $2,200. Because the assumption people have is the machines are programmed to take in a certain amount before they can pay out a lesser amount. Now, we're told by the gaming commissions and everybody that's not correct. It doesn't work that way. But it certainly seems to appear that way to literally everybody who gambles.
Is the code proprietary? Are you familiar?
Oh, yeah, it's all proprietary. Yeah, a lot of the machines are Konami machines. Yeah, I don't trust any of it. I think it's all rigged.
Konami machines?
Yeah, Konami, the gaming company.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so
pachinko machines. It's the same concept. Pachinko machines. Yeah.
So there's also, like we talked about Mississippi, a lot of casinos don't, very rarely do you see hand shuffle for table games. In Vegas, it was, the way they dealt it was they have a shuffle master, shuffles the deck, pulls it out, then they cut the deck. However, for a lot of these games, the machine will auto shuffle and the machine knows exactly how many players are at the table. So it'll spit out the first hand, he'll hand it to you. It'll spit out the second hand, he'll hand it to you. And then it'll spit out the third hand, he'll hand it to you. It'll spit out the fourth hand, and it'll press the button, and it'll spit the whole deck out. That tells the machine 3 players. The presumption people have, again, maybe it's a conspiracy, is that I put the argument like this. If it is legal for a slot machine to pay out only at 90%, meaning they can control the outcome, it's not random, why would it not be legal for shuffle machines to rig the shuffling of the decks to guarantee they only pay out at 90%?
You're saying it is legal for the slot machines to pay out at 90%?
It is the standard that slot machines pay out. You can check. Every state has a different number based on their gaming commission. Vegas is considered to be the best. They have machines that are on a 99% payout. That means for every $100 that goes in, 99 goes out. You're hoping to be that person who puts in the dollar and wins the 99, right? And that's the norm for slot machines. The argument for games like blackjack, when there's a big auto shuffler, but they cut that. It's a lot harder, and blackjack's probably one of the safest games. But for games like Ultimate Hold'em, 4-card poker, where a machine deals the hands out, it would be really easy for the machine, knowing how many players are at the table because of how many hands go out, to routinely determine the proper shuffling of deck to make sure the casino wins only pays out 10% of the money that comes in.
And like for one hand, I mean, the code could shift for a hand if it's remote. And then
there's 2 decks. So the way it works is the next hand is already shuffled when this hand is being played. The deck goes in, it eats the machine, and then it spits out the next cards. So it's already preloaded. The other thing to understand is that random doesn't exist in computer code. There are ways to simulate it using static, for instance, but it's typically an algorithm to simulate RNG, which means, to be fair, it's not really random when a machine shuffles a deck, but they're probably using, hash codes that generate 15 billion potential shuffle orders. So you're technically getting RNG.
I want to get really good at rolling dice because there's nothing random. You're throwing a thing that's
Skill
going to
shot
land.
and dice is possible. And that's why casinos have added ridges on the back of craps tables and require the dice to hit the back wall. If you throw about 3 times without hitting the wall, they'll tell you you have to hit the wall, otherwise they're gonna stop you from rolling. So you'll watch any I don't want to say pro, because it's not really a game you get pro at. Craps is fairly random, but they line the dice up a specific way and they throw it a certain way because you can skill shot dice. Ooh. Yeah.
It's too stressful, man. I play Arc Raiders. That's stressful enough. I'll stick to that.
I used to trade crypto in the day. That was get a lot of stress. Well, then your own money's coming in and going out, and it's
crypto's basically printing money. It's so easy to get rich off crypto.
It's especially if you read the white papers. It is. You see them coming ahead of time. You're like,
this
is
not
the
even
next
that's
big one.
memes
At least
these
this was like
days.
2018 when I was doing it.
It's memes. It's ridiculous. Like, this is why. This is a funny story. Did you see the guy who launched a token and then rugged the first guy who bought $1? Yeah, it was so good.
Oh, man,
Launched a coin, a guy bought $1 and then he rugged them. Took his $1. We got to go to Rumble Rants and Chats, so smash the like button. Share the show with every person you've met in your life. You can follow me on X and Instagram and Timcast, all that good stuff. Let's see what you guys have going on in these chats. Shady Wilder says, as a Texan trying to get home on a delayed flight from D.C., I want to remind all Texans that congressional special general runoff elections are this Saturday. Go vote.
Go vote.
Yeah.
Big one.
Oh, Midwest says, with the overwhelming evidence coming out of Minnesota with Signalgate, what was the point of designating Antifa a terrorist organization, especially to the degree of how they're operating? They're not being black. They're trying not to be blackballed. I think Trump surrendered. I think Trump is largely like, look, just don't put me in prison.
Somebody last week who was the guest on Friday, he was saying somebody said Trump's a populist, and I think he was right. You might say he's not really appealing to his base. He doesn't really care. The base got him in. Now he's in. Now he just wants to be liked. Not just, but it's important to him.
That's always been important.
Appeals to the masses.
The idea that you could ever appease the left at this point is ridiculous. So, and I hope there's someone around him that's like, look, you need to do what you're going to do, and you need to take the idea of appeasing the left and them actually just letting you live out your life afterwards and throw that idea out, because they're not gonna. They are absolutely not going to. I mean, there are people that are talking, like there's a guy that's talking about, throwing him in jail and making sure that he gets killed for what nobody knows, but that's
what are the charges?
But he's sure he's going to do it. The days of amicable politics are gone, and the right needs to realize that, because the left is absolutely aware of it, and they're going to be looking to put people in jail after when this administration's out.
It's not enough to just say, hey, we're going to win our next election. We're going to get it this time. We're going to kill our opponent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's true. It's like we literally have devolved to Banana Republic style politics. Like this is third world shit. That's the way that the Democrats are behaving now.
But don't you think if Trump works with them a little bit, a little communism will be okay? Like we can finally make it work, right?
Are you? No, you're
kidding.
I am
You're triggering you. Yeah,
you're kidding.
I was trying to.
Ian was.
He saw through me.
He had an epiphany earlier. We were outside, and he was just like, "Now that I think about it, I think it would be good if we had no borders and kids were getting sex changes."
I think about that every day.
Yeah,
you think about sex changes?
I just set it out. Yeah, constantly. I can't get it out of my brain. That's why I brought it up to Tim. No, just kidding. But I have prayed for a world with no borders. If we were all one unified nation, but decentralized, like the way that Texas and Ohio are unified,
Tell me you've never been to Eritrea without telling me you've never been to Eritrea.
I've never been to that place you were talking about.
I love it. It's like every time there's some hippie liberal who's like, we should just have like one world and no borders. I'm like, tell me you've never been to Honduras without telling me you've never been to Honduras.
Do you think the U.S. is only awesome because the rest of the world sucks? No offense, rest of the world, because you don't all suck, but it's only like if everybody was like the U.S., we wouldn't be that great.
You think the U.S. is awesome because you have American values, you have Christian traditional values, but somebody who's from like,
Somalia, where corruption is really high.
Not even Somalia, it's just the rest of the world.
They're like, this country's awesome because I can take whatever I want, and these people.
I was cracking up. This girl went to Syria to open up a coffee shop where Syrians can be whatever they want. They can have freedom and all this stuff. She goes to Syria. She uses her entire life savings to open up this coffee shop. She gets lawyers to sign on a contract for a place to rent and like furniture and everything. And it went great for I think a week. And then she comes to find out that everything was fake. Everything was fraudulent. She got completely ripped off. She ended up getting arrested because the police colluded with the other people, and she spent some time in jail. Like, she lost her entire life savings because she didn't realize this Syrian culture was very there's a lot of fraud that goes on.
Or
she lost everything.
How about the couple? No,
I was going to say, you don't realize, open borders sounds really great, but a lot of these cultures, people don't know how to deal with them. You go to another place and you can't exist.
Remember the couple that wanted to ride their bikes around the world to show that people weren't so different, and they got beheaded in Tajikistan?
Or the really popular, popular thing is these white women go to India. They're like, oh, I'm going to go to India and show how great this is, and then they get assaulted.
Right, they get gang raped on a bus.
Or what did you expect?
Or there's all these American women who are like, oh, I'm going to move to some faraway place, and they get there, and then they start sending videos home. Like, there was this, I think it was a black woman moved to some country in Africa, and she was all very excited about it, and she was like, no, don't do this. Don't do this. I'm American, and now I'm stuck here. I can't get home, and this is not my culture. America is my culture. I think we do have a false perception, and I think this is part of the problem with open borders and with mass migration, is that we assume that people who come here are going to share our same values, and we don't realize that we are basically just fish who don't know what water is because we're swimming in it. These are not universal values. I get into this argument with my mother all the time, who's she's a staunch leftist, and I'll be like, Mom, you just think that everyone has these same values. These values are earned. We worked hard for these values, and we worked hard to build a civilization with these values. They don't just happen naturally. You have to fight for it.
Question: have you traveled a lot internationally?
I've been to South America for couple months, Peru and Chile. I was in the jungle a little bit in Peru, and then I was in Scotland. I went to Edinburgh, and I was in Paris a little bit.
Okay, so
in Canada.
Have you found any countries particularly more dangerous than the others?
Chile was interesting. There are feds on not every street corner, but the feds were patrolling the street corners. I felt that was putting my safety at risk, because if the federal government turned on me, I'm like, there's nowhere to hide in this country. But no, to answer your question bluntly, no, they all kind of felt the same. They were all liberal, left-leaning. Homogeneic.
This is the issue, I think.
The jungle was by far the most dangerous. The jungle is your pocket will get picked if you turn your back. Dude would swim out into the river where people are canoeing with a machete and board their canoe, and you take them.
Here's what we need to do.
Would you open your borders to those types of people?
No, I'm not an open borders guy.
Oh, okay.
No, I just have a fantasy about in the future one day maybe we could have a United States of Earth or something. But sorry.
Once we exterminate all the undesirables, we can open all the borders. Sure,
or make them more desirable.
You can't. That's cultural
That's some George Bush stuff talking, man.
In order to graduate high school, we drop you in the woods for 2 weeks.
Boy Scouts.
No,
it wasn't the Cub Scouts.
I didn't think of Boy Scouts.
But that's
we drop
Boy
you in the middle of the woods.
That's what the Boy Scouts is like.
Okay, maybe 3 days. I think 2 weeks is good though, and we'll monitor your vitals, and if you're about to die, we'll pull you out.
These were like Native American rites of passage.
That's right. Because what happens now is we have all these hippy-dippy morons being like, why can't we just let everybody in? It's like, because that guy wants to cut your head off. Yeah. And he's literally, there is literally a fence, and he's snarling and waving a machete saying he's going to chop your head off. And you're like, but can't we just imagine, you know what we need, Ian? We got Rumble Shorts launching soon. And we need to get a video producer to do these minute and a half stories, because the perfect analogy here is there's two guys, and one guy's wearing a blue shirt and the other guy's wearing a red hat. And the guy in the blue shirt's like, I'm just saying, why don't we let them in? They need help. And then the guy goes, because it's dangerous. And he goes, that's racist. There's nothing dangerous. And it's literally zombies going,
yeah, he's hungry.
Yeah.
There was this old...
It's not his fault he eats flesh. It's not his fault he eats flesh.
There was this old British show.
It's a different way of life.
How can you judge it?
There was this old British show, and I can't remember the name. Somebody will know it. But they used to send this guy to foreign countries, and he hated traveling, and he just had to travel this foreign country. He was miserable. He had a horrible time.
I remember the
we
show
need
you're
a show
talking
where we
about.
take the biggest hippie left-wing person that's all pro open borders
won't do it.
and send them to a horrible state.
Well,
and
I've
just
tried this.
stay there for 5 days and then see their opinion when they come
I
back.
have offered to pay for people's trips to Gaza, and they won't do it. The moment I say fully paid round trip to Gaza, they stop responding.
You got to make. I'm sure there's a leftist out there that'll do it.
just
You
don't-
got to figure it out. It
And
would be
they'll
hilarious.
They
I
go,
would watch
huh,
that.
you think I wouldn't take that? Here are my terms. I'm like, agreed. When do you want to go? And they go, well, I can't go. I'm like, uh-huh.
Yeah.
How about Morocco?
No.
What's going on in Morocco?
It's extremely dangerous.
Really?
West Africa.
Not me.
How about South Africa?
Nope.
Don't go there.
I defer to the
The
experts.
South African. Nope. Don't go there.
Nope. Yep.
The jungle might
I
still
wanna
be
do it.
cool if you want to go
How about
visit.
Rhodesia?
I'm good without any of that.
Zimbabwe?
What about
Yeah,
China?
but we got to get these short little
I
films.
just wrote it
'cause,
down. I wrote that one down.
Because
That's a
that's
good
an easy
Yeah.
little 1 minute thing
Yeah.
where it's like, but he's hungry.
Get a few people to paint their faces like zombies. Yeah.
Yep. Riley Butt says, Tim, re Culture and Civil War. What is your position? Soldier, propagandist, general? Why are you not a valid target in said war, praying everyone stay safe? I'm a target before the war. They're trying to kill me now. So, what do you mean? What's my position? I don't know. Whatever it needs to be. I think that the fighting will be done by actual fighters, but I would argue that people like me are substantially better strategists than most of the libtards. So, it depends. It really depends. I'm absolutely certain. I'm absolutely certain. Nay, I am so confident that when all order breaks down and people are fighting in the streets, the people are going to beg for some dude to sit in a room and complain about stuff to them. They're going to say, listen, I'm starving to death. I'm thirsty, but I really just want to hear you complain. And I'll be like, well,
Do you have
I
water?
got ya.
Do you,
I got ya.
Do you have water, or do you have the most recent upload from Tim Pool?
I am under no illusions that what I do will be important if society breaks down. Thank you. We're going to do the uncensored portion of the show, so smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. We're going to be at rumble.com/Timcast IRL in just a few minutes. Tony, you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, if you're a Texan and you're watching this, support Texas right-leaning news. Again, we're like one of four. So if you're a Texan, currentrevolt.com, you can subscribe to us there, or follow me on Twitter at currentrevolt.
You follow me on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at Ian Crossland. Also go to graphene.movie and check out this documentary that I've been working on at graphene.movie. It's going to get you. I think that's about all I got going on these days. So I'll see you later.
I'm Libby Emmons. You can find me on Twitter at Libby Emmons. And I encourage you to check out The Pod Millennial, my new podcast. You can find it at thepodmillennial.com and go to iTunes and subscribe.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. The band is All That Remains. We're going on tour. We're going to be starting in Albany on April 29th. We'll be out with Born of Osiris and Dead Eyes. Go to allthatremainsonline.com to get your tickets. You can check out All That Remains, the band, on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, YouTube, and Deezer. Don't forget the left lane is for crime.
We'll see y'all at rumble.com/TimcastIRL in about 30 seconds. Thanks for hanging out.